it's a long day, but I think it's an important day. Kind of the goal, the plan of today, and I think the purpose of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's people in this room that have done a lot more of these than I have. It's really to kind of look at where we've been, what we've accomplished, where we're at, and kind of set goals going forward, and really to kind of give instructions to staff, because those are the ones that do the day-to-day. So we're here to kind of paint that picture, let them know where we see the town going and what we want to see done, and let them do that. So with that, I'll kick it off to our introduction. We've got famed Scott Slayton joining us today from the Municipal Association of South Carolina. Love the podcast.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you for being here and joining us.
Sure. You want me to come up?
Yes, anybody else have anything they want to say? Just kick it off.
Welcome to Port Royal.
A lot to get through today, but I think stay focused and we'll power through it and knock it out. So.
Well, thank you all very much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here. I haven't been to Port Royal I've been here a couple times for the farmers market over the last couple of years when I've come down and visited here. So it's it's a great asset y'all have.
Are you out of Columbia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I came down last night and
Gotcha.
And stayed and
He used to work in Woodruff, though, just so you know.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
I lived there, was the city manager, and lived there for 10 years.
Okay.
I consider myself an adopted son of Woodruff, so they took me in and embraced me, so I still have lots of close friends there. Woke up to the sound of freedom this morning, which is fantastic. Great. When's the last time I was here with y'all and did this
been a while.
exercise?
Yeah, it's been
It's been a long
several
time.
years.
Yeah.
I was trying to think about it last night, and
It's been Charlie for the past.
yeah, Charlie's done it for you a couple
We had
times,
Ashley,
maybe.
didn't we?
Ashley's helped you
Ashley.
with this exercise too.
We have
So
had
it's probably been
Tones.
about 8 years or more.
That's what I thought too, Mary Beth, because it's a little bit of turnover on council, but that's great. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. So I saw on the agenda. Did y'all want to review where you are, how you've done on your last year's goals? I see you've got some up there on the board. I really like that. I know that there are a number of councils who do this very same thing as a reminder to everybody that this is what we're all working towards. So how are we doing on the attracting businesses to the corridors? We getting there? That's a must-do. Is that from last year before, or is that an
Last year.
ongoing thing?
This last year.
How have we done
We
it?
definitely focused on some of these corridors and looked at infrastructure.
Yeah,
We've kind of stood up some boards
yeah,
to help us.
Okay.
Kind of point us in the right direction.
right,
We've identified some shortcomings.
yeah. That's probably the key element right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about engaging citizens outside of downtown through HOAs. That's
So-
interesting. Tell me
So
about
we
that.
have a lot of different areas that are outside
Yeah.
of the
Sure.
downtown
Yeah, yeah,
core. So, we want to get involved with them, go in. I know at HOA, we don't get involved in their day-to-day.
Yeah.
But we want them to know we're there, fire, police, whatever.
Right.
And when the HOA board has a problem, Kevin and I met last week with Azalea Square, because we want them to know they're a citizen of our town.
Right.
And to see what their needs are too, and what we can do to help them. We just want them to feel like, excuse me, they're a part of this community. Everybody always says, oh, the old village,
Yeah.
the town.
Yeah.
Well, the town is more than just here.
Oh,
The
sure.
town is out, and they need to feel a part of it. So Kevin, Mayor and I have talked, and Daryl and Jerry and George, since he's come on, we want to get out there in that community and just let them know we're here.
Actively engaging them.
Engaging, and just hearing some concerns or
Now,
things that they've
did
heard.
they come to y'all with specific concerns, or hey, we don't feel like we're kind of part of the town, or is this something y'all said?
Some have.
This is something,
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely. Some are more engaged than others. I think a big step was the election of Councilman Guerrero. He
Right.
actually, I don't know, he might be the first council member that we had that lives in HOA up here.
How about
So,
that?
Yeah, so that's a big change. That's a shift from traditionally, who sits on the elected body.
It's
So,
mostly come from the
Yeah,
old town part.
kind of core, yeah, the core of Port Royal. So this is, he was elected last year, and so now He sits on his HOA board, I believe, are you vice president or president?
It's not
of-
dual office holding,
Yeah.
so that's okay.
Exactly,
Fine.
yes,
I
yes.
do a lot of
So I think that says a lot right there, that, you know, we have kind of made some progress in that, but yeah, can always do better. So,
Okay, that's
We have a
interesting. I don't
representative.
think I've ever seen something like that.
Yeah.
Well, you engage the citizens in your community.
Yeah.
Well, they're your community, they're just
Right.
out, they don't have the same zip code, they
Sure.
don't,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you have to cross a bridge, a body of water,
If they
and a
don't
lot
feel
of the
that
functions
inclusion,
happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
They
A
get
lot of
serviced, but they get
functions
serviced by the same police,
Yeah.
same
Sure.
fire department.
Of course,
Right.
of course. Interesting. Protecting the natural environment. I know y'all are all huge advocates for protecting.
Most definitely.
I say we did that with that tree
Strictest tree
ordinance.
ordinance, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we hit that one out the park with that.
Yes, we did.
We did take a big stand.
Yeah.
So not only the tree ordinance, but look at our cypress wetlands.
Well,
It
yeah,
continues
of course.
to
Y'all just
grow,
finished
and
like
the
a
citizens
rehab on
group-
that, on the Cypress Garden, didn't you? Not
Yeah,
too long ago?
and it's a constant rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because it's always infilling, I guess.
Well,
Yeah,
that,
there's-
yeah, just have- with the invasive species.
Yeah.
just-
Tallow trees and other things like that. We've got a very, very strong friends group, and I'm sure some
Yeah.
of them will be here today.
Good.
And we've worked with them. They've taken the lead on a lot of things, but that's definitely important. We value the estuaries, the environment,
course.
everything that's around us.
It's a great project. It's just amazing. I've always admired it from the very beginning when y'all started that. I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on could-dos and should-dos. Is there anything on there that anything we wanna talk about where you've made some like really had some measurable results, some measurable success?
Develop a maintenance and funding plan for town-owned roads. We're
Okay,
getting ready to roll that out. I mean, Brooke can talk a little bit more about that, but I know we've been meeting with Blythe. We're fixing to pave a bunch of roads,
Okay.
town-owned roads.
right,
We're resurfacing everything downtown.
smart, good, okay.
So that's definitely.
And y'all, let me ask you this, because this is an issue that's kind of bubbling up across the state. How many town-owned roads do you have? Or let me ask it this way. There's some dust-ups occurring between counties and cities across the state in Lexington County in particular, over road funding. So, the city's got roads inside the town of Lexington, for instance. The county's maintained those roads over the years. Now they're having some disagreements about annexation and development standards and that kind of thing. And the county's saying, if you don't adhere to what we want you to do on some of this land use planning, we're just not gonna maintain your roads anymore. They're the town's roads, they're the city's roads. And some of the cities are kind of pushing back against that. How many town-owned roads do we have here? You own them.
We own everything below Rebo,
Really?
yes.
Okay, that's unusual.
In the
Yeah,
main
and as a
core.
matter of fact, we picked up additional roads on the other side of Rebo, Smilax, Roll Palm, and a few others. They were a condition of the installation of the sewer,
Yeah.
which basically required us to take ownership.
Yeah.
So obviously DOT is very interested in divesting themselves
Right,
as much
right.
as they conceivably can. So we took on a number of roads on the other side of Rebo as well.
How are y'all funding this?
The
Through
Geo
Geo
bond,
Oh, through a Geo bond?
yeah, $3 million borrowing to do it.
But there's no special fee or
Not yet.
millage or anything like that? How long have y'all been maintaining these roads? The whole time?
Well, we've owned them for a while. We just really started maintaining them because we have the money to do it now.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're roads of character.
Yeah, yeah. Are you getting C funds for it, some?
No,
No C funds?
no. No, most of the C funds were dedicated over a number of years for the widening of 17.
Yeah.
And so that money is now starting to free up again.
Okay.
But as you can imagine, the significant population in Beaufort County is in the southern part of the
Yeah, yeah.
county. So
Right.
a lot of the funding aligns
Yeah, of course.
there.
South of the Broad.
Right.
What else is on there
We did
that
the
somebody want to,
first
what do you want to
responder.
crow about here?
The salary adjustment for the first responders and retainment and
Yeah,
recruitment.
working first responders, that was in the retainment and recruitment. And then adequately fund and recruit town employees.
What I mean by that is, it seems like in the past, we've always looked as fire and police got enough, as fire and police got enough. But look at our office, and our staff is, I feel like we're full. I don't know that. Y'all can tell me more, but we've got new faces. We're doing more with the people that we've got.
Yeah.
I'm hearing success stories coming inside that office. So we've kind of taken our blinders off and looked outside, to me, of fire and police and looked at public works and looked at our staff and looked at those, and we've added to it. And as Councilman Darrell said, we've rewarded them with raises and adjusted salaries. I think we gave out bonuses too.
That's great. That's good.
Yeah,
You got to.
We have a great staff, and we work greatly with the police chief and the fire chief and assist. We have a community, and so we all work together, and I think that's so important,
Yeah.
because if not, we're never gonna get anywhere.
No, I agree.
But we still face the challenges, particularly in the police department with turnover
Yeah.
and being full.
Yeah.
That's
How's town staff? Like, how are y'all doing?
I think we're doing
Day to
fine. I
day?
think we've got a couple of challenges we're got coming up here shortly, but we'll be okay.
Okay. But y'all are full? I mean, you got,
For
Now?
at least a couple more weeks.
okay, gotcha.
Then
Well,
we'll,
that was kinda,
yeah.
But I guess, I mean, if people leave, there's not
I'll
a,
talk to you later, but,
you don't need more people, I'm guessing. I mean, you feel
yeah, planning staff and,
planning staff could use, okay.
yeah,
That's good to know.
those numbers are through the roof.
Okay.
Despite the tree ordinance, we're still very busy.
That's good.
Yeah,
I love trees.
we do too.
Everybody
Yeah.
loves trees.
Water oaks, we love them. Laurel oaks.
we just like trees.
Improvement, so,
Is there anything not on the list, that list there, that you want to crow about or reflect on or tell me about?
Well, they're advocating the BJWSA for sewer service in the town, particularly on Ridgeway and Paris ties back in the town business corridors.
Yeah.
That's the dotted line to that one.
Because there's no sewer on the north side of Rebo, is that right, or?
Much of Rebo is not serviced directly with sewer. Our significant commercial corridor has sewer that adjoins it,
Yeah.
but does not have it
Doesn't
running
have
along
it.
it.
run down, yeah.
So that in itself is a challenge.
How did that happen?
Well, you know, the town owned the system until '03,
Right.
and then we sold it to Buford Jasper.
Yeah.
One of the first TIFs we had was the Millennium TIF, and it was one of the old TIFs. And what we were able to do at that point was install a lift station, and they expanded that sewer infrastructure to Rebo Road.
Yeah.
And made an effort to take it down either side. What we ran into at that time was an unwillingness of some of the commercial property owners to give us easements to install free sewer on their property. So it's available in some spaces over there. We got it across Rebo Road from this side, but we kind of hit the expensive sewer.
Yeah.
It's incredibly expensive, and
And y'all are having to you're gonna have to lift a lot.
yeah, yeah. And so that's where we are. One of the advocacies of the redevelopment commission was the creation of the master plan, the expansion of sewer. And we have the potential to set aside some of the ARPA funds to expand the sewer in
Okay.
those areas. But we have a presentation we're making to BJWSA on March 8th, and we'll discuss our future growth plans, as well as they ask us every year what we'd like to see in their long-range capital planning.
Yeah.
And the two things that we've advocated for the last few years is sewer on Rebo Road.
Yeah.
And if we still are not completely sewered downtown. We still have gaps in our system.
Huh.
Yeah.
And where are the
And the
greenies?
sewer, the only sewer that's been installed in the town since we sold the system has been through CDBG
Yeah.
that the town obtained.
Right. Are the greenies helping you on that? The green folks, the greenies? I would think they would
No,
wanna-
not really, to be honest with
Really?
you. And we even did a study probably more than 15 years ago that figured out where all of our septic systems were and created a priority list of where we should be
Yeah,
getting rid, because obviously we're so adjacent to waterways.
sure, that's, yeah.
So, but
Interesting.
yeah.
You know, as invested as they are in Bluffton about trying to keep septic out of the May River, I would think that you would have
Yeah.
similar voices up here. That's interesting. Sorry to I'm kind of geeking out on this stuff.
Yeah.
No, that town manager connection.
I love, yeah, no, I enjoy it.
Well, we don't have the same fecal issues that they have in the May River. They have a couple spots, Dowlingwood up Battery Creek. It's
Yeah.
got some hot spots from time to time.
Sure.
But testing levels have not had the same kind of urgency, to be quite honest with you.
And can you remind me with the, that Reimagine Rebo, if that happens, was there anything to expand sewer, if they're
No,
coming
no,
over, there was
it's
nothing in
strictly
that?
transportation
Okay,
related,
just tran-
yeah.
okay, gotcha.
But we should be working with utility if we're gonna have those roads opened up.
While they're in there
That's when you
working
do
on
the
it.
work.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Don't do it the second time.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. I love that y'all have this hanging up here as a constant reminder. Okay.
But if you take the must-dos and then look over here, plug it into the priorities,
Sewer expansion,
Yeah.
booyah, environment, public safety, redevelopment, communication. And then this is something that we're proud of. We all took the pledge, and Darrell reminds us, Councilman Darrell brings it up a lot and talks about it, and I think it's important, but just a pledge to be stronger and more prosperous community.
Yeah.
So,
I love the civility
Yeah,
pledge.
That's right.
And I love the buttons. I love the button, you know, it's like on an app or something, you know, that signifies, that's a really good visual cue as to what your goals, very simple to understand, and
Free plug for SK there.
that's fantastic. Really, really good job. Okay. So, Jorge, you probably have you been through this exercise before?
I have not.
This is first.
Oh,
It's my
boy.
first.
Y'all are all, you know, grizzled veterans in how we do this. There aren't any really surprises. So here's the part of the, if we're ready to move
Yeah.
in that direction, Mayor and Council.
That's good.
Start throwing some things up on the big board here. So, what we want to do today is get to that point right there with new things. I know you have a list here on the agenda of things that you're going to discuss later on under item 4, IV, as we say in Woodruff. So I'm not interested in talking about these things. Y'all have already identified these as items that you're going to discuss later on today. What I want you to do is take a pen and paper, and over the next, we'll spend about 5 minutes. I want you to write down everything that you have in your head as an idea that you want the town to do. And there's no time limit on it in terms of when this would be accomplished. We're going to write all these things down. You're going to write them down individually. And then I'm going to go to each of you. We're going to do a round robin here. And we're going to go through your entire list in a round robin fashion. And when you tell me an item that's on your list, I want you to explain it to me. I want you to tell me what it is, why you put it down, and make your pitch to me as to why that is something that should be included on that list at some point in the future. Because if you can't explain it to me, because I don't know anything, I'm like most municipal residents across the state. No offense to our great residents, but they're busy with their lives and paying attention to other things. You've got to at some point explain to them why it is you want to do what you have on your list. And then you have to convince your colleagues here on council as to why you want to do these things, and hopefully build enough of a coalition to where you can get it moving forward. So I'm going to extract from you, I'm going to challenge you and make you tell me about the items that are on your list. And then we're going to prioritize those things as a body with a voting system. We're not taking formal votes necessarily, but we're going to assign scores to all of these items. And then when we filter it all out, we're going to have a set of goals, must-dos, could-dos, and should-dos, that you'll be able to take and move forward. Don't put on your list solve world peace, okay? These goals must be achievable, measurable, achievable and measurable, first and foremost, because there's no point in putting out, we're going to solve world peace. Port Royal Town Council is not going to solve world peace. We're not going to have. We can take a tiny little step in that direction, but None of us are in a position to do that. So these have to be realistic, achievable, and measurable so that when we get it done, we know, yes, we accomplished that goal. So take the next 5 minutes, write down everything in your head, and then we'll go through the exercise. Any questions?
No, sir.
Everybody understand?
So none of the old stuff, this is all
Don't
new
put
stuff.
anything, yes, all new stuff. This is all something different. Because we're still going to continue working on these things.
But it
Right.
could be in a different way.
Could be in a different way. It could be a twist on that idea, but we're working on these things already. We're going to add to presumably this list as things fall off that list, right? So that's what we're looking to get to today. Other questions? All right.
Y'all want Jeopardy music?
So quiet.
Do we have cough drops anywhere in this office? We're on break.
not to repeat some of these up here.
It's
To
kind
be
of
honest with
hard.
you, because I don't feel like, I mean,
We
still.
hadn't
Some of 'em
accomplished-
aren't done.
Right, we hadn't accomplished.
Sometimes you still have to.
You know, we could, yeah. We still got a lot of sewer we need to, septic we need to convert over. And that's one thing I've always been beating the drum on since I've been on council for. It's important, especially with all the SU areas in our environment. We're dumping crap.
Filtering it.
Right. So.
All right. Let's get into it. I learned a really, I fulfilled a cliche earlier. So I was sitting over there and there was a string hanging off my. There was a string hanging off my shirt here, and I pulled it to figure I'd pull it out, and the button came off. So, don't pull on strings. That's the lesson that I learned this morning. All right. Ladies first.
Great.
Mary Beth,
Okay, so.
give me your first one.
So my first one, even though we have water and sewer up there, we're trying to attract businesses on the main corridor, which is Revolt Road. You're gonna have to have water and sewer capacity up there for them to be able to come. You're not gonna want a septic tank and a business.
Sure.
So we've got a committee that's working on it. And to attract them, we're gonna have to put water and sewer up there. We've got to somehow get that water and sewer on the main street to attract those businesses.
You got water up there already, right?
Yeah, but you just need the sewer to go with it.
Yeah.
But
No, right.
when you're attracting a business, you don't wanna shut a business down because their septic tank's overflowing and, you know what
Sure.
I just feel like that's gonna be a constant battle with everything we do. Sewer is important. It's part of the whole process.
Where are residents with you on this? Are they with you?
Oh, I'm pretty sure they are.
R-I-B-A-U-T.
AUT.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I put an L in there, didn't I?
We have a
Sorry,
committee
pronounced that way
that's,
sometimes.
Yeah.
we have a committee that's made up of citizens that are on that board.
Right. Right.
And, if there's something they don't want, people will go and say something to the committee or come to council and say something, But I think that the citizen engagement with that is important.
So, what's a measurable goal that we could see in your of what tells us that we got this done, that we achieved this?
Attracting the businesses coming to the.
How many?
to the- Well, it
What kind
depends
of
on,
business?
well, you want to get it to fit the texture of the community. You don't want big box things sitting up on Rebolt that's gonna attract a lot of
So
business.
not
but-
necessarily chains.
No, right. You want something that somebody can turn in, turn out, go in and see something, come back out. A nice restaurant up, like near the Piggly Wiggly, because there's a big area. I think some little shops along the corridor. Somebody had wanted a hotel down here at one time, and down toward the end of Revolt. To have all that, or to make any of that possible, sewer has got to be on Revolt Road.
Does Beaufort Jasper have capacity? How much capacity have they got?
They said they have capacity.
They
They
got
tell
enough-
us they got
they tell us
plenty.
they have
They
it.
They tell you
always-
got, they
say
tell you
they
got capacity.
Yes, they tell
They
us
say they got
capacity.
they could do a million more.
Million,
yeah.
yes.
Send it to us and we'll take it.
That's what they say.
So I think it's important to attract. You can attract it just by saying, okay, we're gonna have this as a business corridor. What are you gonna offer them? Do you have water or sewer? Yeah, we have water, but we don't have sewer. And I think that if you don't get that, we're not gonna get those businesses to come. And you just want something that's gonna match the area. You wanna kinda help slow that traffic coming on the main, on Rubel Road. You wanna slow them down. So you want things that's gonna catch their eye, that stops them, comes in, and the only way you'll do it is sewer, I believe.
National chains are always looking for traffic counts. How would bringing those, because you mentioned traffic, you know, slow people down.
Slow traffic down.
So it's what, 4 or 5, it's 5 lanes, 2 on each with a turning lane?
We're doing 35,000 cars a day.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
It's as busy as Boundary.
yeah,
Because everybody's diverted this way.
come this way. All right, Jorge, give me your first one, please.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I came up with just town neighborhood immersion. So, town and being more immersed in all neighborhoods. We spoke to this, Mary Beth did, with our kind of jumping into the homeowner associations. I think it's greater than that, though, is us getting to truly understand how our council and our staff approaches communities when it comes to them interacting with the town, business licensing, emergency services, those kind of things, to know what the need is in those individual communities. Because we're all very different, right? All the way down to Johnny Morrell Circle is very different for a fire truck to get into than in my community, where they can just come and go as they please. They got to be surgical back there, you know, and so understanding those things, and I know they do. It's just the community needs to understand that they do, because, you know, for us, 3 minutes getting anywhere is not that long of a time, but 3 minutes getting to an emergency is forever, because life changes in seconds. You know, and if our communities are understanding that about us and how we're interacting with them, I think it brings more things to light for us to be able to influence and affect, if that kind of makes sense.
How does that expand upon what you're already doing through your HOA
Right, so-
interaction?
So getting again together with them. So every community has events throughout themselves, right? Let's take the farmers market, for example. That gets pushed out. It's not anything that's official. The town doesn't say we're putting on the farmers market.
Yeah.
That's done as just a function in the town. Those events being pushed, again, just like we push that throughout the entirety of the communities, so communities start to interact with one another, right? Like my community's got a golf cart parade also, you know, and this year, you know, the town council was like, "Do you guys have a golf cart parade?" Like, we do. We know of one golf cart parade that happens down here all the time, but every community does this. We all have our own Christmas functions, right? We have our own Halloween functions. We have those kind of things. We're, again, trying to see how we can better understand each other, because we coexist, allegedly. Allegedly is a huge word when it comes to that, because like Mary Beth did mention, and that's a real thing, we are across 170, or
Yeah.
170, right?
Yeah.
Those communities out there are like, okay, awesome, man, like, we're just a tax base. And there's 611 homes, and we're gonna kick you over a couple, $1,000 in taxes, and we'll call it good, and when we need a police officer, they show up. None of our houses have gone up in flames and that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
again, a lot of it is we don't see each other the way that we see each other here.
Well, you got Casablanca too, got
Right,
taken
Casablanca.
over.
No,
And
that's right.
Casablanca's not an HOA, but it's a community that needs to be heard.
Yep.
So,
It feels left out, right?
yeah,
right.
and we need to make sure they don't feel left out. We need to be having a presence out there, and
Yeah.
the mayor and the rest of the council, we've talked about going out in different communities just to communicate, and
Yeah.
that was one of my things, but.
Okay.
And one thing
All right,
that,
I'm-
one of the things that I think, and I hope we agree here, is that my hope with this is that we do not relieve the communities of their responsibility to interact with the town also.
Right.
Right, being on an HOA as the vice president,
Yeah.
that's my push to them. Like, we can ask from the town 1,000 things, but if none of us come to this meeting
Right.
and express to them, they're also not psychic, right? Like, we can't expect that from us. It's a team thing that the communities right now are kind of not on with.
And I don't wanna put ideas in your head or influence what you're thinking, but I'm just thinking that, just to kind of illustrate what I think you're saying to me. This is a really small example, but there are some city councils that will hold their meetings in different locations
Right.
around.
Town
what we're
halls,
talking
right.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, they'll hold their regular monthly meeting
Right.
in different locations around the
School board
city.
does that.
County
too,
council
yeah.
does that.
Would that,
County
would that, is
council.
that an example of, would that be an example of what you have in mind?
That, I think that would be wonderful to get to that point,
Right,
right? To
Yes.
just say that, I mean, I know we don't need but us five to really hold the meeting, then we put it on with Sean and.
Right.
And, you know, we get the audience we need. We just need the quorum.
right.
But what I'd like to see is, yes, to get to that
Yes.
point where the community
That's a
is
small, that's a
is there.
small example,
That's
but,
right.
yeah, okay, all right. I think I understand where you're going, where you are on that. Okay,
I
Good.
have three things that somewhat ties in to
Okay.
what he's talking about on my
All right.
list, and I'll just put them all in.
well, give me
collectively.
one right now, Daryl, and we'll come back to you.
But as I said,
all
all
kinda
of them are
goes
the
together?
same. This is
Okay.
all, they
All right.
all go together.
Okay.
Yeah, because they touched on them. And what I said is that to encourage more across-community involvement or input collectively by having town or community meetings quarterly by quadrants. And that way we have that diversity covered. You know, we have the HOA communities covered. We have the Casablancas covered. We have the village covered. And by going on collectively and by encouraging a more community involvement or input collectively, and it goes into what as I was saying also, by developing or establishing a more safe communities, because you know Port Royal is growing. If you look at our last census, we have grown by population by over 30% more than 30%. And what happens? People are migrating here with all of these developments and so forth, but we're having people from all over the country that's coming, and
Yeah.
crime rate has increased. Gun violence
Yeah,
has increased.
That make
And
it
so
worse.
definitely, and that's why I'm saying that these all ties in, because we need to look at zonings and see what is allowed, what's acceptable. We had a group to come here and talk about a particular establishment that's now in their community that has criminals, and they're in fear and so forth. So we need to look at our zoning and ordinances and so forth to see what is acceptable or allowed in these communities also.
okay,
So that's why I just tied them all in.
okay.
Appreciate it, Daryl.
Yeah. So we need to work with HOAs to let them know.
I like what you said, is a two-way street, like Azalea Square, like,
Yeah.
they let us know that they were having their annual meetings, so
That's right.
we'll be there, like,
You should have seen, like Kevin said, you should have seen their face.
yeah, they were like, well,
Y'all are here.
council people are here. I was like, just, you
That
gotta
was
let us know.
You capture all I did. I didn't say too much today, Scott.
You're gonna flip the page here, and he's
I
like,
think I got it. Make sure I got it here.
Yes.
Want to review your zoning and land use for compatibility?
Yes.
Right?
Right. Yes.
Yep.
Is that fair?
Because what may be acceptable in the outskirts may not be acceptable.
Right.
Some people don't want tattoo parlors in their front door. Some people
Yeah.
don't want the porn shops.
Sure, sure.
In
Oh,
their
yeah,
front
yeah,
door.
yeah.
You know, so look at.
When's the last time y'all updated your comp plan, your comprehensive plan?
Yeah.
21?
Yeah, not too
Okay.
long ago.
That's good. So it's about, or coming up on updating it again, or renewing it. Doing the whole 10-year schmear,
And the
right?
last porn store tried to open was '04, so just so you know, it's been a while.
about to get assigned something.
Okay,
Yeah. He's
Okay.
like, don't anybody mention.
And we did.
and we shut one
I
down.
had to count
Yeah.
videos.
It's cute.
Jerry?
It kind of goes along with Daryl, so I'll just add one more. I think there are some ordinances we need to look at.
Okay.
And update. Just a review of some ordinances, maybe some updates.
That's a
maybe some-
maintenance thing. You gotta, yeah. That's an ongoing thing. You just keep piling it up, and then, you don't really know what you have at some point.
Ignite dynamite.
I'm the only one who can handle dynamite in town.
Do what?
I'm the only one who can handle dynamite in town.
Oh, really? Interesting. That's pretty cool.
Good to have.
Huh.
That's right.
Mayor?
I got, we need to continually engage with port developers and communicate with the community. So, to me, that port has sat kind of empty for a long, long time, and we finally have someone that owns it.
Yep.
They are motivated they have the money, and they are moving forward, and we will see things happen there in the next year or two, and whatever happens out there will change and mold this town to after we're gone. Like, it will be something that will be there forever, so. And they've kind of demonstrated so far that if we don't keep a keen eye on them, they will.
Well, I
They'll
was
kinda
getting ready
just
to
push,
say,
so.
I was getting ready to say that sounds a lot, what you just said in terms of how it's going, sounds a lot more optimistic than what I've been reading.
Yeah, well, we got to work together. It's
I'm
a
not saying that's
partnership.
bad.
No, it's a partnership, and like I said, but they are
Optimism doesn't
motivated,
sell
and
papers.
Wow.
they have plans, and it's like I said, it's gone through a lot of hands, and it's finally in a place where it's owned by someone that's got the money, and they can do things, and they're going to do things. So we just got
Good.
to engage with them and stay engaged with them throughout the process.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I really am. Because I was, again, based on what I've read, I was a little pessimistic.
You can hear that
A little-
comment
Yeah.
also.
A little more pessimistic than I normally am.
Oh, I don't think they're going away. Like, they're not.
Okay.
They're here for the long haul.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Just like we are.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
gotta work together.
Okay.
Home builders come and go. The town's gonna be
Yep.
here, and
And that marina and whatever it
Marina's gonna
becomes
be
is going to be
here.
there. Yep. And
Yeah.
it'll change what Port Royal is, for generations and generations. So
Okay, good. What does that look like in terms of continually engaging with them? Is that,
meetings,
I mean, it's just
Transparency,
having them here?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
provide
Conversation and
updates,
transparency.
and work with them. If they need something, come to us, see if we can help. And if we need something, we go to them and see if they can help. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, have a true partnership with them. And just like any partnership, it takes communication and
Sure.
engagement.
And you know that you're gonna have squabbles every now and then?
Absolutely, yeah.
Gonna
What
have
what
disagreements.
relationship doesn't? Yeah.
But, right, precisely, but, everybody's pulling generally in the same direction, so that's good to know. How do you envision, the continuity if, like, as council turns over, as staff turns over, is there anything institutionally that you've thought about or considered as to how to, I don't know, I'm just thinking out
Yeah.
loud.
Well, we have a
To-
DA.
Yeah,
essentially,
We have a
to
development
essentially-
agreement and a PUD.
Okay.
We have
All right.
documents, that are.
Right.
guiding.
So we have
Guiding
that.
documents.
So,
That's
yeah,
there.
so
regardless
there's
of who's here.
some codification
Yes.
there.
And
As long as that town manager over there don't go
Van's
nowhere,
not
we're
leaving, yeah,
good.
right?
We're not gonna let them
Because
go.
He's well past retirement.
well, don't
99
be
and
talking
don't have
that
any
kind of
shackles
stuff
here.
in here. We don't need him to be going nowhere.
Yeah. How many years you got left?
In what? In my life?
Hey, listen, I turned 55 last month, and I told everybody, I got 20 more to go. So,
Well,
based on the
so
average.
You're Benjamin
So Dan
Button
got
since you got
31.
out of the management business.
Some people
now.
say you
Right, yeah, no,
retired
that's
this
right. I've got seven years left before I'm fully in the retirement system.
Yeah.
People are like, what are you gonna do? I'm like,
It's not
nothing.
the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Six.
I'm out.
That's right.
6 Christmas parties.
6 Christmas parties.
That's it.
Yeah.
Give me another one.
No, okay, I think we need to look at the safety of our residents and our visitors. We've heard it, and I'm gonna drill down as far as, we heard someone mention speeders. We've got the most important intersection in northern Beaufort County at Rebo Road and Ladies Island Drive. We've got other intersections, Old Savannah Highway and Paris Island Gateway, Old Savannah Highway and 170, Rebo and Paris that we have accidents. We need to look at our intersections. We need to improve our efficiencies. We need to keep our folks safe.
All that you just listed is related to traffic safety. Is that what you're
Yeah.
specifically talking about?
Yeah. I think safety of our residents and constituents overall is important.
Yeah.
I drill down on traffic safety and intersections and the amount of wrecks, et cetera. But also, I think the overarching is safety of our community. But yes, I drill down on traffic.
What specifically, Jerry, do you have in mind?
Reduce wrecks at all these intersections that we're having.
that's a measurable.
Yeah.
This
Reduce
intersection
wrecks at
out
the
here,
intersection.
Paris and Rebo, we have wrecks there. Right over here at Rebo and Ladies Island Drive, the frequency of the malfunctioning of the Woods Bridge in Beaufort sends traffic over to us.
Sure, yeah.
And then we have this intersection here that just gets backed up. I mean, even on a normal day, you know, traffic at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon is backed up to, you know, the Dollar General, people trying to get on.
So-
We have wrecks out here on the old Savannah Highway and 170. That's one of the most, I would say probably the most wrecked intersection in northern Beaufort County. We're always having wrecks there.
Is it a function of any one thing, like traffic volume, poor signalization, or is it a combination of it all?
I would say probably a combination.
Or do we have an
And
idea?
It's a combination.
And drivers also, I think drivers try to push it. The lights, especially this one right out here.
Yeah.
They're pushing the light. They're taking those chances, they're
Yeah.
taking those risks.
Yeah.
When they should be slowing down, that yellow to them is speed up.
So, to make this better, are we talking about enhanced enforcement? Are we talking about intersection improvements that need to be made? What, or is it,
All of
again,
the above.
all of the above?
It's just, I don't think it's one silver bullet, I think it's a combination.
Yeah.
I think you gotta attack it several ways.
Yeah.
Maybe it is some enhanced enforcement. Maybe it is putting the speed study out there. Maybe it is signage. Maybe it is just raising the awareness of the community.
Yeah.
Maybe it is doing some things on social media. Maybe it is just raising where, I mean, we have 35,000 cars coming through here
Yeah,
a day.
The dynamic of the driver we get here, Scott, is pretty unique based on what happens on Paris Island every Friday. So from Tuesday to Friday, Saturday morning, you have a completely different set of folks from 3,500 to about 6,500 that flood
Yeah.
northern Beaufort County
Yeah.
for that, right? So when we talk about the proverbial rubbernecker, that's kind of what we deal with here. You know, you're trying to find the right turn because you're trying to
Right.
get to your VRBO or you're trying
Yeah.
to get to your hotel. They're just not familiar with what it is. So
Sure.
I agree 100% with Jerry, and exactly in those intersections because that's what we talk
Yeah.
about so much, and probably our ability to increase our awareness and education for our local drivers, right?
Yeah.
The ones that we communicate daily,
Yeah.
for them just to be a little bit more defensive, but again, then we fall back on the idea, how do we do that, right?
I know
And
this is DOT, but there's no continuity also, because you look at some of these major intersections, and they don't even have dedicated turn arrows.
Yep.
You know, so now folks are taking chances or in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah.
But when you have a major intersection, i.e. like, there's one that I just escaped my mind, but I noticed that they have no turn arrows.
Yeah.
You know, that will control that flow of traffic and say,
Right.
okay, these people can go ahead and go. Now folks are just taking chances, and when the light turns yellow, as you said, you know, if I'm already in the middle of the intersection, I'm going, okay, it's turned, so I'm going to turn, but that person that's coming straight is going to gun it,
Yeah.
and then before you know it, on a weekly basis, we have a catastrophe.
somebody KOs somebody else.
More extended turn lanes.
Right.
Some of these turn lanes are so shortened that people are starting to get off at the foot of the bridge over here in Ladies Island in a median that's not dedicated as a turn lane,
Yeah.
so that they
Right.
can
They make it
execute a left turn.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, they need to look at, you know, the length of some of these turn lanes and so forth, and not from here to that wall, because they start piling up. Savannah Highway
Yeah.
is another one. People start lining up as far as the gas station to make a left turn onto Savannah Highway, and when you have a little short turn lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, these engineers and DOT really need to reevaluate these intersections.
What, it's more of a rhetorical question than really searching for answers, but if this ends up there, what are you prepared to do, or do you think you
Get with
can
our
do?
legislators.
Think about that. I mean, I hear you.
DOT.
Well, you know, fortunately, we've got one of our own who's the incoming Secretary of Transportation, Justin Powell. He's a city guy, worked for counties, worked for cities, worked for counties. Van and I know him, he's a former colleague of ours in the business, so he gets local government. That's not to say that Secretary Hall doesn't, I mean, she does, but, you know, having that good familiarity might open up
Facilitate that.
some lanes for all of us, pardon the pun. Your next one.
Again?
Yeah, yeah, we're just gonna go back and forth here.
I have on my building a strong economy and keeping taxes low by attracting or growing more small businesses in Port Royal. You know, we can't have industrial sized businesses in our, because we don't have the footprint to accommodate that here. And that brings in more traffic also, but you know, attracting the right type of businesses for Port Royal.
How would you do that?
Well, of course, it all goes back to effective marketing, and then also looking at some type of tax credits or incentives to attract them more, get them here, and then keep the people that lives here. That way, you don't have to worry about them jumping in their cars going somewhere else. You know, so they're here and they can go right to work, work right here in their community.
Good, good one. Mayor?
I've got, finished the overlay district for the business corridor, which kind of goes with what you were talking about.
Where is it in process now?
Yeah. So, it's, yep. We just, were forced to stand up our own planning commission. We used to have a metro planning commission. That was the city of Beaufort, Beaufort County. And
Yeah.
the city of Beaufort pulled out,
Yeah.
so that collapsed. And so we now, for the first time, are standing up our own. We just elected our people at our last council meeting. Their first meeting is March, and so I think they'll get started on that.
Why was it not, I mean, was it not feasible to continue forward with the county in the joint planning effort, or, I'm just curious, I
I don't know, just.
why did y'all decide to go out to create your own?
I think with the city of Beaufort pulling out of it, I mean, the only other option would just be us in the county. So I thought it was, you know, we thought it would be good just for us to have, I guess, our standalone planning commission just for the town of Port Royal, so.
Can, I don't know,
This would be the first time in quite some time. Prior to the Metro Planning Commission, we had a joint planning commission with the city.
okay, I was getting ready to ask.
Yeah, so
I know
it's
there's a
been-
joint planning for counties and cities, but I couldn't remember if you could do it, sure, you could do it between cities.
Yeah, we did.
But the county was interested in continuing to join after the city pulled out.
After Beaufort.
Yeah, because they were standing up two planning commissions, so that county was, the one where they were participating with us, and then they had the other one.
Interesting. Huh. Well, that's too bad, because I hate that, because I often cite y'all's joint planning, the three of you, as a good example to others who you know struggle with planning these annexation issues and land use issues between counties and cities. You know, I always say, you know, Sumter County and Sumter City and Beaufort, Port Royal, Beaufort.
And that overlay district kind of ties into, there's a different way to say the, where is that? Attracting business to the business corridors.
What's this going to do? Why is this unique or needed?
So they're working on, and like I said, a lot of these decisions will be made by that planning commission, but they're working on, it essentially creates a district, like Vieira was saying, attracting businesses from, you know, from Bridge to Burger King is what it's
Okay.
been called. They're looking at doing things like, for commercial businesses through there being exempt from the new tree ordinance.
Gotcha.
And, you know, helping with the sewer and attracting those, like, commercial businesses
Right.
to that
Okay.
area, to Google Road. Yeah.
Targeted land use
Mhm, exactly.
incentives,
Yep.
considerations, that kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of ties into mine at the first.
Yep.
The first thing that we set up there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I think the
Because
overlay
it's
district,
all-
the overlay district will tie a lot of these together.
Right.
yes.
The overlay will offer our WIFM for the businesses, the
Yeah.
what's in it for me thing,
Yeah.
right? And it'll kind of
Okay.
help us
Facility.
guide that, facilitate more so.
All right, Mary Beth?
I think it's important, we work very closely, we have joint meetings with the city of Beaufort. And what we do in those meetings, and I think it's very important to continue and work with them, we save tax dollars. Because we share some services, which is very important to both communities.
Sure.
And, you know, we try to do things so that when you're driving on Revolt Road and you come right out of Port Royal and go into Beaufort, you don't know you're either in Beaufort or Port Royal, because we try to do everything alike.
Sure.
Not that we're trying to duplicate each other, but we don't want people to feel oh my God, this might be rural, this might be something else.
Yeah.
I mean, we want the texture, we want to save tax dollars, we want to do what we can do. We want people to know that this community in Beaufort County is a community, that we all think about things together, we talk about it, we have a joint meeting once a quarter, we talk about the issues that will affect both of us to help guide us, something that they might have tried or what we might have tried or.
So you're doing this now.
Wanna
Are you
continue.
proposing to do more of it, to do it differently, or just keep doing it?
I think we, kind of both. We need to keep doing it,
Okay.
but we also, just because I think anybody that borders us, like Bluffton, Jasper, when we were at the conference a year ago, when we were working on our tree ordinance, you know, one of the Jasper people came up and said, oh my God, I love your tree ordinance, you know, I think this is a great tree ordinance. You know, working with some of them, like, maybe once a year, having a different community, like Jasper County or Bluffton, their officials come over and meet with us and have a lunch or dinner, like we do with the city of Beaufort. I think it's a combination of everybody working together in the community to better the community.
I think we have an advantage also here in our area because, you know, because we're involved with this local where we meet with our,
Right.
our neighboring municipalities also. And I think also, in comparison to what I've seen or observed across the state, we have a good working relationship with our county council and our legislative delegation. And, you know, we have dialogue with them, we communicate with them, and they work on behalf of us also.
Yeah.
I see that across the state that they don't have that cohesiveness. But I take pride in being here in Port Royal, Beaufort County
Yeah.
because of our relationship with county council and our legislative delegation.
Right.
And as I said, it's the local board.
Well, it affects all of us. So what they do affects us. It's like joint, what we were talking about earlier, home rule. You
Those
know,
are two four-letter words, by the way.
I know.
Don't use them.
Don't use those kind of names.
well, you know how I am about home rule.
I know.
But I just think that, you know, the more we can work together, and we do work great with our legislators.
Well, let me ask you this. Why do we need to put this up here? Are you?
I just want to continue it. I want to make
But
sure.
is there some threat to it?
No.
Are you fearful that
No,
there's
no.
not a willingness amongst this group to
No,
continue? Okay.
not at
You just want to make sure that this stays in mind and we don't
That's right.
fall off the wagon.
That's
Well,
right.
the only municipality that we meet with is the city of Beaufort.
Right.
We could have a joint meeting with the county, we could
Maybe
have a
do
joint
more.
meeting
Maybe
with
with
Bluffton,
Bluffton,
we could
right.
have a
Right.
joint meeting with, like,
Just
the only
every-
one that we do regularly meet with is the city of Beaufort.
Well, and that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah,
That
so
makes
we want to
sense.
do more, and I think
Okay.
that's why it's
Okay.
important to be up there.
Okay.
Because everybody affects everybody, like the county affects us.
Yeah.
The state legislators affect us.
Yeah.
We've had good responses, the state legislators
Yeah.
have been very good and responsive to our needs and questions, and I want to keep
Okay.
that line of communications open.
Sure.
And I have to step
Fair
out,
enough,
and I'll
yeah.
be back in shortly.
All right,
luck.
Jorge, your
Thank
next
you.
one.
Hey, Scott, yep, my next one, kind of ties into Jerry's traffic safety overall, resident safety. Addressing more the community policing aspect of that kind of arm, really.
What are you doing in that space now? Do we know?
So what I see where I'm at, we see just kind of drive-through policing through the communities, right? To kind of deter, and I understand our personnel, and this is, I think, how we can capitalize on that a little bit with our recruiting and retention. In seeing that people getting in front of people is probably the greatest form and the
Yeah.
quickest way to start earning respect and trust again, to where when you can identify folks from a distance, it's kind of like us shaking hands when we meet, right?
Yeah.
It's a thing. There's a kind of an engagement there that happens. So, becoming and what I wouldn't like to consider ourselves is a drive-by first responder town.
Yeah.
Like they're here because they're here.
Yeah.
And okay, what that does, it kind of pulls people back into their homes because usually when they're around there, someone's about to get a parking ticket or somebody's going to get towed because they're parked too
It's
close
a
to a stop
negative
sign.
interaction.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be because that's not how it's intended, and
Right.
we appreciate that.
Yeah.
But sometimes being the beat cop matters.
Yeah.
When you can tell John exactly what happened yesterday when he saw blue lights in front of his house, and he can appreciate that as well, and you can communicate that, right? And one of the challenges that I have for myself as a town councilman now is to meet people and to interact with them on a first name basis. Where before I'd see them at Parker's and just be like, hey, brother, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, now it's very different. And earning that type of respect from one another, to include our first responders, makes us more willing as citizens to interact with them, to communicate with them, and to get off of the they did that. We're more comfortable saying, hey, Officer Smith,
Yeah.
Jorge Guerrero did that.
Right.
Like there's a thing there that, and it's not about diming anybody out. That's
Sure.
not what this is about.
Sure.
It's about living in mutual harmony in a community where everybody feels safe to walk.
Yeah.
Right. And to walk a dog, if that, or my kid can go play on his bike. You know, but when we're hearing things like, I don't let my kid out in the front yard anymore when I'm upstairs, it's kind of different.
Okay. All right. That's good. Give me your next one. We're just.
And the next one is continuing our effort to maintain our small town culture. Again, and what I mean by that is not becoming a pass-through town, right? So the probability of that happening, I think, is extremely low because of the council that we have and our town manager and the staff here and everyone involved, really. But it still exists where, you know, you see small towns that live and rely solely on commercial-style taxes, where, you know, everybody comes here and builds a new big box store or builds a new storage, you know, facility or those kind of things. What I would like to see in my interaction with this is, you know, we want to encourage more pride in individual property ownership, right? To attract like-minded people that come here with the same emphasis that we have on our environment, that we have, you know, on the local small town feel, that will keep Port Royal cool, coastal, and far from ordinary. Like that's a thing. It's not just our slogan. We are around each other enough where that's how we interact every single day. You know, and it's because of the unique dynamic that we have here, where our neighboring cities and towns, Bluffton, Hilton Head specifically, are getting filled up. There's no other land to be had.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's some land here to be had. It's just what and how are we going to do it? And I think that's going to be the question for us every day: is how do we attract, you know, folks who have the same drive as we do to preserve what we work so hard to build since, you know, somebody saw us in 1562, 62, yeah. Now, I'm a retired Marines guy. You got to forgive me. I say things really long-winded because I don't have the big words. I don't use four-letter words so all the time, unless
I was going to say I use them a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not in mixed company there.
So I usually go around the long way to get to the point because I dealt with a lot of officers.
How does this? How do you do this? I don't like what I wrote here in terms of attract like-minded people, because we want a diverse
Yeah.
community, but we want like-minded people in
we don't
terms
want a
of their
rich.
pride in the community.
right.
Is that fair?
Well, pride, I like that word, yeah, take pride in it, but, you know, 'cause we don't want another Myrtle Beach, we don't want a Hilton Head. You know, we want the golf carts, the
Yeah.
golf carts and the pedestrian on feet where neighbors are sitting on the porches, talking to each other, sharing a drink or
Yeah.
coffee, or a cookie or something with each other.
How do we do this? It's more of a rhetorical question than
Yep.
the specifics, but how do
So
we do this?
I've got one. I mean, one of my next
Yeah,
ones
go ahead.
was, I said, encourage local business ownership through, and this probably goes into the overlay district, but having I got the idea from Folly Beach, a formula district that they put over Folly Beach where a chain cannot move in there. And they define chain as,
Yeah.
you define it as, it can be,
Box store.
well, it's anything that they have either 5 or more. Like if there's 5 or more of them, then they consider it a chain. And so those are not allowed on Folly.
So
And
now Swegan Swine can't build a place in
and you
Foley?
can change it. It could be, you can define chain how
He's
you
got-
want to. You can make
yeah,
it 10, you can
okay,
make it 12,
I
but.
was gonna say he's got
But
5
so,
locations.
you look at.
So there's a template for that. Like I said, Folly Beach has
Yeah,
done
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So there's something that, it's an actual thing you can do. Like
Well,
you
we
can-
kind of got some of that, 'cause if you look at the shell ring and the fish camp
Mm-hmm.
and the nuances, people from all over the county comes here for that environment.
Yep.
And if we can attract that type of establishment, as I said and I watch the traffic that comes in and out of nuances. People from all over, from Sun City, and they're coming here to nuances. I look at the clientele.
Sun
that-
City, their golf cart makes it all the way up here?
Yeah, they do. And even Shell Ring and Fish Camp. If you look at the volume of traffic, and they're not all from here.
Yeah, no.
They're coming here because of the diamond that's in the rough here.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, that's why I like the idea of the formula district. Like I said, that's an intangible thing you can do because you encourage local business, local ownership and local business by basically saying, that's the only thing you can do here. You know,
Yeah.
there's no other option. If you're a chain, you might as well not even try.
Okay. All right, I like that, the formula district. That's specific. Daryl, what you got next?
I have
Some fun-
effective,
fun
efficient services where the citizens feel that we are responsive to all of their needs and not only a selective group.
Say that differently.
I know what you mean.
I think
but
we need
yeah,
to be
yeah.
a
I know
little
what
more-
you're saying. I know what you're saying, but say that differently.
As
Don't be a politician when you say that. That sounds like politician
Staff.
speak. Yeah.
and council are effectively communicating when someone comes to us, whether or not it's like, I really don't want to hear this person, make them feel that they're heard
Okay.
and not based on where they live. And I don't say that for any particular community, but sometimes those that are the loudest really do not represent the consensus of the people. But you know, the squeaky wheel gets the oil because they take the time to come out.
I'm going to write it this way.
Okay.
Let me pose this to
I
you.
know
Go ahead.
what you mean.
Hear people.
He knows what I'm doing.
Hear people.
Yes. Hear people and be responsive,
Hear-
respond to people.
Hear and respond.
Yes.
To all people.
To
Oh,
all people.
there you go.
I mean, I look at some of the emails that come out, and I know the staff probably is like they're pulling their hair out. But you know, staff has been responsive. You know, and it's like, you know, is this going to ever stop? But still, that's only a selected group. But then again, let's have that take that with everyone also. And I'm not saying, but I look at recent emails. I'm like, oh my gosh, this staff
Well-
is about to pull their hair out.
So that do you feel that there is a deficiency?
Yes,
Right now?
you know, each of us get calls from certain people and say, I call them, I've emailed them, and I don't hear anything back. They just want to be felt like they were heard,
Okay.
or return a call back and say, I acknowledge your such and such, and I'll
Okay.
get back with you in a certain time limit.
Gotcha.
But follow up.
Right. Okay. All
Am I
right.
making sense there now?
Yeah, no, that makes
Okay.
total sense. No. That's, I mean, that's why, obviously that's why I asked.
Hear,
if-
respond,
if-
and follow up.
Yeah. Okay. Hear and respond to all and follow up. Okay. Good. All right, Jerry.
My turn again.
Yeah, man.
He said his list already ran out.
Is your list done already? I mean, if it is, then that's fine. But
Attainable and affordable workforce housing is a challenge not only in Port Royal, but in our county,
Yeah,
and
country.
in our region, and in the United States of America.
yeah.
We need to fix it.
All these super luxury
So
apartments.
put that into a goal that the town of Port Royal could aspire to.
I think right now, we lead the county in our efforts for workforce housing and what we've done at this point. Do we not?
Well, I tell people, we've been doing affordable housing for the last 100 years. So,
Yep.
you know, look at Rebo Road right now.
Yeah.
Laurel Hill, the one next door, right across from me.
Yes.
Next to that.
Yeah.
How,
We've been the
And the
receiver.
county has stood up a housing trust, Beaufort County Housing Trust, that we're funding and supporting, and we'll continue to be a partner in that.
Jerry, how is that different than the number one could do, identify more workforce housing opportunities? Or is, you want to put that back on this list?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's
Okay.
get back on the list.
Yeah.
We didn't,
Or,
no, we
or,
didn't fix it.
or ensure that we keep it on, or
Let's
attempt
keep-
to
yeah,
ensure to keep it
before
on the
us,
list.
Yeah, we haven't solved it yet. It's still an issue.
What's that say? Identify more workforce housing opportunities.
You got it.
Um,
On camera.
Is there any, have y'all looked at all at the change that we made in law to the ATAX laws last year?
Yeah, they earmarked some money for affordable housing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's come up in a couple of conversations.
15, up to 15%.
Well, what do we get in ATAX?
We don't collect enough.
We get
uh,
we get
to really
$50,000.
justify the
Yeah.
effort.
Oh, okay, so, okay, gotcha, all right.
Yeah.
All right, so that's not an option for
We
you.
could pitch in 10 grand and.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And I think Hilton Head is exploring how to
Yeah,
make
they
that
are.
work,
They
so
are.
we're letting them create the blueprint for,
Yeah, they just
The
finished.
study behind it.
They just finished their feasibility study, or their housing impact analysis that's required for the state aid tax. You know, it was probably, it's very extensive, it's a very good document, very good product. You know, they got the capacity and the resources to do that really extensive kind of thing, but
Yeah.
I don't, for all communities, I don't think you probably necessarily need to go to that extent that they did, but it's all relative. Okay, do we need to take a break?
Just through.
Take a quick potty break, anybody? Everybody good? Still with me? We've only been going for, you know, a little bit, almost an hour.
Hour and 15
unless you need
minutes.
a break.
No, I'm good.
Is that why you brought it up?
Hour and 15 minutes.
No, just wanna make sure I keep everybody comfortable. I'll let you know when I gotta go.
Okay.
I'll be up here dancing and crossing my legs.
You should've said yes.
Or hey,
More
let's
ideas.
come to you again.
I'm all out of ideas.
What?
Yep, this is my first one, man. You gotta break
You're all
bids.
out of ideas.
I like it though, hey, simplicity, that's the way that's
Break
achievable.
You know, there are some councils I'll come, when I used to do these regularly, I only do these on a special occasion just for y'all. People would come with a pre-prepared list, you know, and they already had it done because they knew what we were gonna do.
Yeah.
But, so next year, you'll have your list ready to go.
I'll email it to you up front.
No, I
Scott.
don't want, no, I'm not.
I'll email it to you regularly.
Mayor?
So I've got, and this goes to, this probably could fall under Jerry's, review, zoning and land use, but it's, and we've started the process, but turning Paris Avenue into a, more of a destination spot. There's a lot of open parcels down Paris Avenue, and we've started the process of, what are we calling it? The Paris Avenue
Revitalization.
revitalization of Paris Avenue. But we've got about 5 or 6 local businesses on Paris Avenue.
Yeah.
And when you talk to them, and it's true, whenever, I mean, we've all gone to small towns and we're a small town, and you go to that downtown district, you park, and you walk around, and you
Yeah.
bebop, and you go here, you go there, boop, boop, boop. We've got, you know, Blue Rye, which is way up here, and then Miss B's down here, and then Nuances down here, and then so more businesses along that way, more, it would be hospitality, it'd be retail and restaurants, you know, ideally. And I think that looks into the zoning, and the land use review, because you got to look at, and this will happen with the planning commission, but parking requirements, density, heights, things like that, and how do you utilize some of those empty parcels that are there? Because like I said, we've got about 5 or 6 businesses down Paris Avenue, and if we could have, you know, a dozen, and it could be more of a main street, you know.
And the neighborhoods are prepared for that possibility? They're on board with that, we think?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Because they want to get out and walk to these places.
Absolutely.
And golf cart to them. I would. I think downtown's a destination like the Soft Shell Crab Festival.
This is our main
Yeah.
street. This is our main street, exactly, and everyone comes with this stuff. Mardi Gras
Yeah,
parade that we just had last Saturday.
right.
And I met some people, and she said, "Oh, we came all the way from Bluffton over here."
But that's
for this."
more, but you know, that, it's really an event space now,
Mhm.
essentially, right?
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes, Paris
Make it-
Avenue is.
Make it a year-round event, a continual event, so to speak.
Like I said, Paris Avenue, I wrote to turn it into a destination spot.
Right,
You know, you
right.
come, park, and you could spend a couple
All the
hours on
time.
Paris Avenue.
Yeah.
And when we have those festivals also, as he said, if we can attract the businesses on that also, because when we have our street music, you know, the restaurants benefit from that, even though we
Yeah.
have some people out there selling things. But the local restaurants are benefiting also, because
sure.
people go in there and they come and they get the pizza and they come sit in their lounge chair, or they go and get their barbecue. And so it's a win-win for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your next one, Daryl?
The last two that I have, essentially, maintaining transparency. And I say that, I put that on here because, and I think we're doing better now, but there was this perception, and I'll say perception, that, you know, that we have closed meetings and we never come back, and the community knows nothing about it, and we're not being transparent. So I think that's in every situation that we need to maintain transparency. When we meet with certain people, we don't have to give them all the details, but let them know that we had these conversations and this is where we are. So that
Is that, so do you feel like you're doing a pretty good job with that right now?
I think we've gotten a lot better.
As a town?
I think we've gotten better. Yeah, I'm not hearing as much anymore because I'm seeing more affirmation now. Like, okay, thank you all, thank you for.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
That's great.
But prior to
Right.
I've been hearing like y'all have, and every public was saying y'all having these behind door meetings, and
Okay.
we don't know anything about it.
You've made good progress. and you
We
wanna
are
keep that
making
going.
progress, and I think that's why I said maintaining
Okay,
transparency.
good.
Every meeting's posted, every
Right.
meeting's online, we
Good.
got a mailing
Maintaining
list that we
it,
put
yeah.
out every week.
Yeah.
every
Yeah, and
social
perception
media.
is key,
Yeah.
and the
Good.
last thing eventually I said sustainable infrastructure.
Sustainable infrastructure. Tell me what that means.
Well, again, we're talking about having the businesses and so forth. Also, do we have the infrastructure in place or the funding to actually support these things? You can track them here, but if you don't have the infrastructure, you don't have the sewer, you don't have
Yeah.
the roadways. And people look at those things also.
Okay. Good. Jerry, sure next.
And it might go along with Councilman Darrell's infrastructure, but we need to make sure we're expanding our fiber capabilities.
Yes.
How you gonna do that?
I don't know, if I knew it would be done. We're gonna talk about it. I don't-
Fiber
Well, let
access,
Brooke run some
capacity, all the above, or capacity?
Capacity, we don't have fiber down, we need to expand it down here.
Well, we've gotten, we were just laughing about the non-encroachment permitted fiber that came in on that weekend.
Yeah.
6, 7 months ago.
You know, and a lot of
We've
these
still got
things are,
areas.
They're still running above ground.
well, I think how you fix it, a lot of these things are intertwined, you attract more businesses, you expand the tax base, that brings in more revenue, that gives you more money, and that's how you do it. So I was just saying that to say, some of these things, they're interconnected.
Yeah, these communication companies aren't gonna make the investment unless there's the
Yeah,
the
so,
demographics and the the critical mass to
Yeah.
make that investment, period.
Jim Stritzinger, who runs the state broadband office, when he first was getting his many millions of dollars from the feds to expand broadband across the state and into rural areas, that in conversations we continued to challenge him to, hey, these incumbents, they're not going to go because same thing, it's not the critical mass of residents, there's not the potential revenue base that they would want. And he said, I am going to make sure, this office will make sure that if the incumbent says, no, we're not going to do this, then I will tell them, you either do it or I'm going to open your territory to competitors and somebody will come in and do it. That's for rural areas, of course, rural towns, but that's a problem even in a place like this, which is interesting. And of course, we can't get into we can hang fiber, but we can't light it as cities. Or if we did, we'd have to go under the purview of the Public Service Commission essentially, and that's not something that we necessarily want to do. That's a big barrier to locals like you trying to get into the business and move forward. Anyway, I'm kind of off on a tangent here, sorry. Jorge, you're done, you said, right?
I am.
Is Mary Beth done with her list, I wonder?
I
She's
think she
coming
did.
back.
She hit hers.
Oh, she's already got
Before
hers
she
done?
left, yep.
Okay. All right, Mary, you got another one?
and we're talking about it later, but I got, develop Sands Beach Park.
Okay. That's on the other list, right? On the list of things to talk about
We're
later?
talking about it, yeah, but I just keeping that
Okay,
goal.
put it on there?
Yeah.
Develop Sands Beach Park. Okay?
We just did a property swap and got a hold of a good, beautiful piece of land right on the marsh, going down to Sands Beach. Sands Beach is such a draw too, and
Yeah.
we got an opportunity to do something really, really special there, and also connectivity, walkability, making it, have, you know, potentially putting a boardwalk on it, expanding that whole area down there. You know,
Good.
Just, so, because right now you've got Sands Beach, and then you've got the boardwalk and the tower, and now we've got the ability to, we could make that whole
Connect
thing
that
just a
circle.
big connected all and make it a big, you know,
Sure.
more of a draw.
Good. Okay.
I'm sorry, Scott, she had one last one.
Okay. Well, maybe let's let her come back.
Wanted
That
to-
way she
Might be
can.
a while, so-
Oh, really? Okay. Well, let's see what her other one was then.
To,
Maybe y'all can explain it.
for the community to better understand processes of working with our town.
Ah. Huh.
I guess permitting, renewals, things like that.
Just, I imagine probably just, yeah, like Van said, administrative type,
How would
Issues.
I write that in 5 words or fewer?
oh man, yep, nope. You got the wrong one for that.
Make the town government user friendly. I like that. Is
Got
that
a
fair?
business person, so there you go.
Good thing I brought Eric with me. Keeps me in line.
You told me that.
How would you do that, I wonder? Any ideas?
I think we're well on our way, Scott. I think we
Yeah?
are. We're becoming more communicative with the community. We're reaching out harder, you know, and it's just, again, with an increased staff, there's more of them to communicate and engage.
Yeah.
You know, those are the things that I think she means by that. That
Okay.
I think maybe on the line of what Darrell saying, maintaining, right? That we continue on this trajectory that we are with the town in general. I mean, all of us as citizens being more engaged with our town. Like,
Okay.
and understanding how we operate is a critical component to that.
Okay.
Scott, if we don't see growth and we don't see, then we're not doing something right. And even most recently, we had 3 vacancies for a board and had 8, 9 people to apply.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's
they have
pretty
to
good,
tell people,
actually.
thank you for your interest, but unfortunately, we can only select 3.
Right.
And so you're seeing progress.
Yeah.
And if people wanting to be involved, it's not because I'm disgruntled.
Right.
It's because you're making me feel
Right.
needed or
And the diversity in those applications
Yes.
was, I think, something we took in clear note. It was everything from just, you know, Joe Citizen like me, who,
Yeah.
to, you know,
Corporate exec.
developers, to engineers, and those
great.
guys that are daily moving. I mean, it was pretty impressive,
That is.
reading
That's-
that stuff. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
One thing that was unique the other night also was the guy who first got up and spoke about the restoration, and he was from, where was he from, Orangeburg County, or from a different county, and he said he served on the council there. You remember the
Yep.
guy, and what did he?
Brent Tomlinson from the Global Youth Adventures.
Yeah, and one of the first things he says, wow, look at the crowds you have here.
Yes.
He said, I serve on council in my community.
How about that?
We don't have this kind of engagement, and I look here, and it was a room full of people.
But
That's awesome.
That's monthly.
Kershaw County.
Okay.
And I mean, we've even seen it to the point where people are sitting on the floors.
Well, yeah.
And that's good.
Get some more chairs.
That's a good problem to have.
Bring your
right?
own chair.
That's it.
Bring your lawn chair.
Right,
What,
so,
you got another one?
I think I'm tapped out.
Are you?
Had too many.
Yep.
I'm tapped out.
You're done? Mayor? Still
Yeah.
working on your list?
No, I got, put, less apartments and storage units.
Agreed.
Got a lot of those down Rebo Road. And again, that ties into small town culture, local businesses. All, you know, a lot of these could kind of be under one umbrella.
Diversity.
And like you said, home ownership there.
Well, I'm just asking.
Mhm.
How does this square with this workforce housing?
So,
I'm not putting you on the spot. I
No,
don't want
no,
to put
I
you on
got
the
you.
spot. I'm just,
I understand it. and
I'm just
I-
asking questions.
When I look at the workforce housing issue, I don't think I think that is a regional issue. And so I don't know if that's, I mean, Port Royal, again, is like I've said, we've got a lot of affordable housing, a lot of apartments. So I think we're doing our part with that. You
Gotcha.
know,
Okay.
fixing affordable housing doesn't just fall on the shoulders of the town of Port Royal.
Right.
That is a
Right.
regional issue that we all got to work on. So for the town of Port Royal, I'm saying where we're at when we look at the makeup of the town, I think we're good on apartment complexes and storage units,
So,
if that makes sense. Yeah.
so, Jerry, again, I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot here.
And I will say this too, I've been trying to do research on it. There's something going on in the apartment community because we've got apartment complexes and the rents there are higher than mortgages. I mean, it's
Yeah.
$2,000 for a one-bedroom, and these places are not full. So you would think that they would lower prices to fill them, but they're not doing that. So I don't know, that's an economic question that I can't find an answer to. You would think at some point supply and demand would come in and they go, you would think an apartment complex would want to be full, but apparently they're making a decision, we'd rather be at 60% capacity and charge this rent.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
so I don't know like I said, that's an economic question that I don't have the answer to. So something's going on there, and I don't think the answer is just to build more luxury apartment complexes that are charging $2,800 for, 2 bedrooms. So-
Okay, all right, so that helps me.
Mhm.
You just made a good distinction
Okay.
between workforce apartments versus luxury.
Luxury apartment, yeah, the workforce is not a luxury apartment, I don't think.
Well, we
Is
have
there
a
a
workforce now
distinction?
that we'd like to do a ribbon cutting.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean,
I want to be fair. Is that a distinction to be made when you say when you want fewer apartments?
so.
Market rate, fewer market rate
See,
apartments?
yeah, and that's the thing, because we have an apartment complex going in over on Grover Hill, and I actually, one of the people that's working on that is on a council, and I was talking to him in Columbia over there, and he said that they are going to be market rate apartments, and I was like, okay, now asking him exactly how to define that, it was kind of convoluted in what that meant, what market rate was, but.
Yeah.
And I hope it's just not a buzzword that sounds good. But then we do have some apartment complexes that we've got that are, rents are insane. And like I said, and they're half full. And so,
We had an apartment complex that was built for $12 million in 2004, and it sold for $93 million 2 years ago. $285 a door. Wow. And that, you can imagine what that generates in taxes. At 6%.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You said, Mayor, this, in your mind, is for lack of a better word, a more global
The regionals.
issue
Yeah.
than a town of Port Royal issue.
Yes.
Is that what you meant, Jerry, when,
I-
is that
I
what
think
y'all
it-
meant when you put it up there last year and you put it up
I
here
think it's an issue
today?
here in the county and in the region. I think it's an issue that we don't need to
Okay.
sleep on.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question, but we have a problem. We've identified it. People can't get into an apartment and spend $2,000. The wages won't allow that.
Right.
They just don't.
Yeah.
So then what do we do? Look at wages? I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but we've got a mess. I mean, I can tell you this. I've got a daughter that lives in Rock Hill. She pays $700 a month. I got one that lives in Pickens County. She pays about $750 a month. And she's got, both of them have a roommate, but even another roommate makes it $1,400. That's affordable. That's
Yeah.
not $2,000 or
They have a
$2,500.
roommate, yeah. But you have
I
to have a
mean,
roommate.
So I think a lot of this becomes a self-licking ice cream cone, really, because we're a part of a kind of small group of investors here. It's called the Beaufort Real Estate Investment Network, and we met the other day, and we were talking about this exact, and those were my exact words to them. Like, we've created this beast on our own. We are victims of our own success here, and so the higher demographic of people that move here come here with one intent in mind, is to never work again, and so they come here, and we've created that. And we create an environment where we can golf cart everywhere, we can do that. And so I think the fair market value equation is all hopes, really, because I think it can only survive as long as the economic driver will allow them to kick it down the road, right? So what will happen when they start lowering rates, they're going to make it seem like a good guy deal, like, oh, we're going to help you out. that's not really it right now, or they would do that now.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. Now, I think we may have skipped an opportunity in approving some of these developments without taking something from them.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, a certain percentage of this will
Right.
be set up this fashion
Yeah.
if you want to develop in this, because we do have an overabundance. So again, I live on the side of the town where Grover Hill is, where we're putting apartments over there, and we're like, why are you putting apartments over here, right? Just like down here in the village, they have their own set of issues. We're like, why is short-term rentals over here type of stuff?
Yeah.
So again, I think we've just become victims of our own success.
Yeah.
And differentiating them, I think the differentiating factor is that you put maybe a patio on one at an increased rate for build about $1,500 to $1,600 in materials to do that, and then on the other one you don't, and then the rent is, $800
A
different.
little more reasonable.
Well, there was
A lot
new
more
development
reasonable
that
when you
just
think
went
about
in
what we're talking.
On Robert Smalls Parkway, and they had a section, I think, one section that was dedicated to people that had a low income. Because my daughter even applied and got qualified, but you could not have made more than $35,000 a year in that first section, and then the rest of it was out. But, when you're talking about the normal or the average monthly rent as $1,500 for an apartment, but they're saying also, if a person is paying $1,200 a month, that's based on an income of $45,000 a year.
Yeah.
So if you're paying $1,500 a month, the average, the median income is not
Right.
$50,000 here in Beaufort County.
It's not attainable.
It's not obtainable, exactly.
Got another?
Yeah, I got a few more. These are
Yeah,
just
great.
little fun ones.
Okay.
More public art pieces, potentially a art district. And that goes, another one I've got is just stay cool, coastal, and far from ordinary. And that's more of a guiding light, and that's the town motto. And, if you look at the history of Port Royal, and I've talked to a lot of people, there was a lot more arts going on here, plays, performances. They just did up at Cypress Wetlands, the gator that they put in there.
Yes.
That's so cool. And like I said, just more of those little things. You go to, when you travel to other little towns, you see them, some of them have little, mermaids, cows, oysters. They have little, fun things kind of all over the town.
Edgefield has turkeys.
Yeah, so like I said, something like that, more public art pieces, art district. I've talked to Van about that. He said that was something that's been looked into in the past.
Goose Creek is selling,
White squirrels.
gooses. Huh?
White squirrels.
White squirrels.
White squirrels.
I
I
mean,
said gooses.
You've never been to
Selling geese.
Brevard, North Carolina?
Oh, yeah.
is that what they
White
have?
squirrel, yeah,
Okay.
everywhere.
And those black and white face ones in Myrtle Beach, you see? I don't
Yeah,
know what those are
so,
called.
yeah, something like I
Okay.
said,
All
cool
right.
coastal, stay cool coastal, far from ordinary.
Okay.
And then the last one I have is just, and we're doing a good job of it, but it's our public events that we have. Just making sure that we're always evaluating those and continuing to build on them and just, making them, they're awesome now, and you just want them to keep pushing on that front. Like I said, the Mardi Gras event was perfect. That was a new one, did a great job with that. A lot of that falls on like the OVA Association or the people that run them, and some of them aren't town run, but
Yeah.
just letting groups know that the town's open for, events, and like I said, we do a good job with it.
We've added a lot of events this year.
Yeah, it's awesome,
It's been a diverse year
yes,
with events.
which is great. So,
Controversy.
Are you doing those around town, or is it mostly concentrated here downtown?
it's mostly Paris Avenue or
Parks.
Live Oaks Park or,
In this core area here.
yeah.
Live Oaks Park, Paris Avenue. We do.
Because I guess the HOAs probably do a lot of their own events too, right? Or not?
We do, and so
Yeah.
now that, again, that, I know our HOA is, we're using our calendar for our events to offset ours, as to increase kind of participation in those all around.
Well, an awesome one that we did last year too was, after the air show.
Or,
And
you
the
know,
Blue-
after
the-
party.
Oh, that's
And the
right.
Blue Angels pilots came in town, and we had the brass band, and that was great. We had the Blue Angels, and the kids were amazing. They thought they were rock stars. They were getting their autographs on posters
Okay,
and
so
all
they
that.
didn't blow it out
What do
with
you mean?
pilots.
No, they,
No.
Last time I was with a group of pilots on an
They were
aircraft
behaved.
carrier
They
with
were
my
behaved.
brother, they blew it out. I
it was a
like,
family event. They were behaved.
These boys are getting flung off this ship in 48 hours? I don't know.
Our Fourth of July.
They deserve to
Independence
blow
Day
off
event
some
also
steam.
Yeah,
is a
Fourth
success.
of July's down at Sands Beach, and
Yeah,
that was
that's a
awesome.
success there as well.
They deserve it. They deserve it. Okay. Nothing else to go up here.
You got a half page that you gotta finish. Continuity. That's my word today.
All right. You know, we could probably distill at least half that list down into just one big category
Yeah.
if we, because y'all talked about it, you said it in your comments. All right, so here's the next step in this exercise, unless anybody has anything else they want to add or
think that's
talk about,
good.
mention.
That's fine. I'm good.
Staff?
You good?
All right.
This is our retreat.
You know, and I look at a lot of that stuff, and we talk about this, we wanna do that, we wanna do this. Keep in mind staff capacity,
I was
Right.
thinking about that with events.
Right.
because we're not,
Well,
That's
I
why I wanted
didn't-
your input.
I had that found.
yeah, I mean, those are things that you have to keep in mind. We can do a lot.
Yeah.
But capacity.
And of course,
Do more.
yeah, do more. Do
That
more.
sounds like a Marine.
Do more.
Need your
right,
volunteer
so-
efforts, more advice.
We're gonna take these. We know we've got some of these that we're still working on back here. We got these things that are in progress and you are gonna discuss. So when we're ranking these things now, let's keep all of this stuff in mind comprehensively. What's achievable? What's achievable? What's measurable? And what's your appetite individually for making these things happen? I love more events. Let's do more events, but unless we are willing to build the capacity to do that, then there's no point in putting it on the board.
And
Right.
more might not be the right word for
Oh, is that-
us,
is it-
'cause we,
okay. Oh,
Well,
I'm
just
sorry.
like-
that was
yeah,
just
just
more-
to,
I
just
put
evaluate.
build
and-
upon, evaluate public.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
That's it, yeah.
Okay.
So it's not more.
I misspoke, yeah,
Yeah.
I misspoke, yeah. Van was thinking more.
Yeah.
Van was thinking more. All right. So what I want you to do, I'm gonna give you three ticks, 3 marks. You get 3 points. Okay? Let's identify our must-dos. Our must-dos are those things up here that we got to do. We don't have any choice. These are things that have to be done by the town of Port Royal. Hopefully, ideally, these are shorter-term goals in the next year or so. Because this list is going to inform your budget as you start working on your budget. Probably already underway, working on a budget. Your July 1 fiscal year? Yeah? So this is a great time of the year to be doing this exercise. These things that you choose today will inform your budget. And how you prioritize these things doesn't matter what you say up here. It's what you actually put money towards and resources towards. So, what are your must-dos? You can assign all 3 of your points to 1. You can put 1 point on 3. Any combination. It's up to you. You tell me where you want me to put your 3 points for your must-dos. Must-dos. Got to do them. I'll give you a couple minutes to think about that.
All right. I got mine.
Well, hold on. You gotta wait a break. Can you read my scratch? Okay, all right. I try to. Penmanship was never my forte. Everybody ready?
Yep.
All right. You don't have to vote in the case of a tie, you can go first.
Okay.
You said you got yours.
So you want all three of them?
Give me
Or
your
you just
points.
do one right
Yeah,
now?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah. Let me have
Just
all
one,
three.
continually engage with port developers.
All right. So black is going to signify must-dos. So, put a mark right there, okay? Give me your next one.
Review, update ordinances.
Okay? What's your next one?
Because I think that one, like, review zoning and land, that's kind of, those go together.
Yeah.
And then I got encourage local businesses ownership through a formula district.
Okay. Daryl?
And that's more small businesses.
Sewer on Reebok Road, retail, definitely, we're gonna have businesses, we gotta, put them kind in there.
Okay.
Second would be, review zoning, review and update ordinances.
Where'd it go, where'd it go, where'd it go?
And those two on that third chart goes together, and the first two kind of go hand in hand, so it's between that one and what Kevin said, okay, about encourage local businesses and maintain small town culture attracting. I kind of like, maintain
same,
small town
yeah.
culture, yeah, they kind of go hand in
I
hand.
can't assign a half point. You don't get halves.
So, just close your eye, one or two. Same thing, so.
I'll put that right, I'll put that right there. That's
All
okay.
right.
Let me mark these pages too. So I can.
So, then it'll ask us, should
All right,
do,
Jerry.
Could do.
Sewer.
So you'll get three must-dos.
Up here?
Should do,
Yes, sir.
3 could-dos. That's what it's gonna do, so.
Okay.
We go safety,
Right here?
Yes.
yep. Port development. Bottom left, first page.
Scott, could I ask something now?
Sure.
Because you said also, and I see the part about, like Jerry is saying, okay, improving traffic safety and overall, but see, our hands, see, there are other entities involved there,
Yeah.
but what can we and Port Royal, us as a council do immediately? But
Yeah.
that's not an immediate thing because we have to deal with DOT. We have to, and, we can sit there and scream until but again, we're at their mercy.
But that doesn't make it, that doesn't lessen its importance, or it's still a must-do.
Right, okay, yeah, it's a
Right?
must-do,
You
right.
must
yeah.
do it.
So we just
Doesn't
gotta stay
matter-
on it. Just
yeah, it
keep
doesn't matter
okay.
who all's
That's why I
involved.
wanted that clarity
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
Okay, 'cause
It's-
I'm thinking
it's
about
something that-
what's within the realm of our immediate control, that's what I was thinking.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, you obviously are gonna be intimately involved, but you're gonna need partners on, all of this. All of
Gotcha.
this,
I
Right?
think we're gonna do what we can do later. We're talking about traffic speed in the town. I mean, that's not Revo, but
I got all three of yours, right? Okay, Jorge?
Thanks, Scott.
Your must-dos.
Now, we're talking town dollars or just general grant dollars and every kind of dollar?
Any kind of doubt.
What
Every
is-
kind of dollar?
It is a
What are you
must-do
talking about?
for the town, no matter how you achieve it. But it's gotta be achievable.
Continued community engagement with our port developers,
Okay?
traffic safety,
Up here?
yep,
Okay?
and then land use for compatibility. It's fourth one down on page 1.
Right there.
Right here?
Yep.
yeah. Like I said,
Alright.
I think that one or like the one below are kind of.
I think just, I think that's
Few
gonna
of
come
them,
up.
yeah. Just a few of them that could just be on one.
All right, so there's 6 of them up there that have markings.
Mary Beth is missing.
Yeah. It's too bad we don't have Mary Beth's proxies.
Dan should be up on
No, he doesn't. He doesn't get a vote. He doesn't
Each
get
of
a
us
vote.
get to pick, I know, I was just messing
Yeah,
with
he
you.
doesn't
Each of
get
us
a
get to
vote.
pick one for Mary Beth.
We'll let Mary Beth put hers up there later. And,
Hers is
I'll-
already up there somewhere.
oh no, I'm talking about her marks,
Yeah.
her points. And then
That her way.
take your top 3. And so like right now we've got 1, 2, 3 4 ties. I bet you she'd vote on this one. take your top three,
Yes.
figure out how
The town there.
to break the ties if there are any. Hopefully she'll break some of the ties. Okay?
Only if you cover up those, so she won't be all biased.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
So she sees that, oh, I'm gonna go with that because everybody else
Well,
is.
I mean, and that's part of part of it. All right, those are your must-dos.
Let's take a break.
Got to take a break? Okay, yeah, let's take a break, and then we'll come back and do the could-dos and should-dos, and
Yeah.
then I'm gonna let y'all have your meeting back.
4, 3, 2.
And we're back.
All right. Jerry had to step out.
Okay.
He's given me
He made his marks.
his next marks. So next we're going to identify the could-dos, things that are could-dos. These are, they're not must-dos. They're not as urgent as must-dos, but they are things that we would aspire to. We want to do these things. They are something that we could likely achieve in a relatively short period of time, the next 2 years, 3 years, maybe even next year. I don't know. Maybe it didn't make, the could-do didn't make your must-do list. But you see where I'm getting at with the priority of it. So let's take a look at these again, and then we're going to mark them. Jerry's already put his marks up there, so don't let that influence you. Same system, 3 points. You get 3 marks. You can put all 3 on one, split them up however you see fit.
These are the what do's again?
These are the could-dos. These are the could-dos. We could do these things. And the could-dos are kind of a little bit out of order. Let me stop real quickly. The could-dos are the longer term. These are the least important. They're all important, but
Right.
relatively speaking, these are the least important. We should have gone to should-dos next, but that's okay. We're going to concentrate on the could-dos. The could-dos are the least important of these. Let me reset you. These are the aspirational things.
You got me confused now.
Huh?
So we're on,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So that.
is
so
that
the-
out of order?
Yes, but that's okay.
Okay.
That's all right. The priority goes must-dos, should-dos,
Should-dos, okay.
could-dos.
So we're on should-dos now.
Or you want to do, let's go
Let's go in
in
order.
the correct order. All right, let's go in the correct order. I appreciate
Do we have
it.
an ain't gonna happen?
Ain't gonna happen. Those are the could-dos.
The most optimistic town manager I ever met.
So yeah, those are the could-dos. We could do that, but it ain't gonna happen, right? All right, so let's do the should-dos.
Okay.
So these are things that we should do.
Gotcha.
We're not gonna necessarily be able to get them done in the next year, but these are things that we should do.
Okay.
Should do. Sorry for the confusion. I got confused myself. Think we know? Mayor, let's start with you. Let's do our should-dos.
I'm gonna put 2 on finished business corridor overlay.
You gonna put 2 of those on there?
Mhm.
All right. Okay.
And then 1 on, Paris Avenue destination.
We should make Paris Avenue a destination. All right. Daryl? Should do these things. You should do that. It's a good idea.
Well, we should grow small business, but that doesn't involve us, so I can't do that one, so.
Why not?
Okay, well, should grow more small.
We should
business.
grow more small, we should create the environment
Yes,
or enhance
yes,
them.
Yes.
Where's that one? Right here.
Does that encourage local business ownership?
We should do that. Okay, there's one.
That goes with, okay.
Just saying.
Make Paris Avenue a destination.
We should make Paris Avenue a destination.
And, the last one was, I just saw it, yeah, develop Sandton Beach Park. And Mary Beth Stack.
There we go.
And now there are 4.
All right, that's your 3 for the should do's. We'll get to it.
So she's back.
I'm coming to you.
Don't come to me.
Yes, sir.
Identify
three.
housing, affordable housing opportunities, workforce housing opportunities. Page three,
Page
bottom.
3, bottom.
Should do that. We should identify more work. That's just 1 point?
1 point for Paris Avenue as a destination.
We should make that a destination.
And
Okay?
also 1 point to finishing our business corridor overlay.
Page 2.
2, number 3 down.
Okay. I'll get yours last, Mary Beth. I'm gonna give you a chance to,
I'm just reading what.
yeah, I'm gonna give you a chance to look at all
That's
this.
fine, sweetie.
All right. The last priority is the things that we could do. We could do these things. We can do that. I don't know that we will, but we could do that. We could do that, but as Van said, it ain't gonna happen. Maybe.
Right away.
Not, yeah, right. Right away, it ain't gonna happen, but we could do that. So what are those things? Those things that we could do those things. You got your 3, Darryl?
Oh, yes, I had
All right.
it earlier. You had that,
You're
you changed
lock-
it.
lock
I
and
had
load.
those
All right.
first.
What are those things that you could
Quadrant
do?
meetings, interaction, for page 1.
We could do that. That's the right color, yeah.
Page 2, continue joint meetings, coordinate with Beaufort and others.
Could do that.
And the third one was, ooh, that was a tough one, but let's go with encourage local businesses, business ownership, formula district.
Could do that. Okay. All right.
Community policing, enhanced community policing.
You could do that.
Maintain transparency. Page 4, number 2 down.
Okay.
And quadrant meetings. Page 1.
You could do that. Okay. You could do these things.
Quadrant meetings. Public art pieces. You put 2 up there.
All right. Good enough.
Double up.
Easy ones that-
You could do those things. All right, Mary Beth. I'm gonna put the pressure on you here.
You got 3.
Don't worry about breaking any ties.
I
anything
ain't
like
worried
that.
about ties.
What are the things that you, as a council and a town, must do? I'm gonna give you 3 points. You can put all 3 on 1, 2 on 1, 1 on 1, 3 separate ones. What are the things that you must do as a town? These are things that must be done. They could be achievable in the next year or so. What would they be for you?
I would do the port, continuing engage. We have got to keep control of that.
All right, good.
I think the encouragement of local businesses, because that's gonna help.
This one here?
Yep.
Okay.
And, maintain, transparency. Number 4, second down,
We must do these things.
must do.
All right. What are some things that we should do? Yeah, we should do that.
Should do that.
We should do that.
Yep, we should, do the quadrant meetings. First one, third down.
Okay?
I think we need to do, review zoning, land use capability, the fourth down, first page.
Right here?
Yeah,
Okay.
and, top three, number one, on page three, maintain small town culture, attract, minded people with pride.
You should do that. Okay?
Yep. That's three of
What
them.
are things that you could do? You could do that. You could do that.
Yep. We could enhance, community policing. Second page, last one.
Okay.
Develop Sands Beach Park. Fourth one, all the way, fourth one down, yeah, develop Sands Beach Park.
Okay.
And traffic overall safety and overall resident safety.
Right here?
Yep.
You could do that. All right. So let's take our top three of each of those. I think everybody agrees on that one.
Yep.
That's it. Almost looks like a fish. Look at when I draw that head around. Let's see. Here's one. That's a must-do. Where's the other one? There's a tie.
Yep.
There's a three-way tie. But if we take our could-dos, if we add in our could-dos, then there's still a two-way tie. Y'all decide and break the tie between review and update ordinances and your traffic safety.
And
Well,
sewer.
and
That's got two also.
Yeah, but I'm counting the orange marks too.
Oh, okay.
To kind of break the tie, but I'll let y'all squabble about that. How about that? Could-dos. I mean, should-dos. Well, there's definitely one right there.
Those two that are right there, you're saying?
That's a should-do. Here's one right here. That's a should-do. Make Paris Avenue a destination. And then we got a lot of ones. One marks there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let y'all squabble
Don't
over
you have
those.
those quadrant meetings up there? You got 4 up there, the quadrant meetings?
Yeah, you count them all. And then the could-dos, definitely, quadrant meetings, you could do those. Enhance our community policing. That's a could do that.
I'm glad you can see that light, that bright orange.
Yeah, it's hard to see. And then here, some public art.
And I think for the must-dos, let me know what y'all think about this. You got one must-do that's review zoning, and then 2 on review and update ordinances. It's kind of the same thing. If you put those together, now you've got 3.
Right.
Now you've got 3 on that. If those merge into one thing.
I love the compromise.
Yeah, I agree.
I love the compromise.
They're all in about the same thing anyway, so
Yeah,
your
so-
zoning and ordinances.
So you
and-
drop, so
put
that,
them
there you
together.
got 3 must-dos on that.
Y'all good?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think we
All right,
make
go to work.
that
All right.
same comment earlier. Go to work.
Thank y'all for your time. Thank you for your participation, for indulging my curiosity and answering my silly questions sometimes. I appreciate it. I enjoyed coming here and being with you. I will come and visit and not work and enjoy Paris Avenue as a destination and
Please
other
do.
parts of town. So,
Stop by the people.
We'll enjoy the port development. We'll walk
Yes.
down Paris Avenue. We'll see some art.
Sorry
Well,
it's rained,
I
but
always-
Enjoy some local businesses.
I mean, I
Well,
always go over Shell Ring and Fish Camp, so,
Yep.
you know, those are
Good spot last
my
night.
destinations.
Yes, it
So,
was.
People ask me, I'm a beer snob, right? So I go to as many breweries as I can. And I always identify my favorite places by the breweries that are in that town. So Shell Ring is definitely how I identify Port Royal. So.
if you saw it last night, it was a beautiful sunset out there.
Didn't get out there, but.
Congressman Mace was here.
Oh,
She had a little town hall out there. So.
okay,
Yeah.
good. I haven't seen that.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let us know if there's anything that we can do for you. Are there any legislative questions before I go?
Just the one that you and I talked about earlier. I've got it and I'm gonna look it up and
Yeah.
follow it, but if you can kind of keep us up to date on that,
Yeah.
that would be great.
So-
Because that is gonna be part of our conversation later.
Yeah, Mary Beth asked me about Senate Bill 953, or all the short-term rental preemption bills. There's two in the House, but they're not really moving. There's one that was filed in the Senate by Brian Adams, who's a senator from Goose Creek. And the way it's drafted, written right now, it would preempt your authority to regulate short-term rentals from top to bottom, soup to nuts. Of course, we oppose that. We've met with Senator Adams. He told us that that was not his intent, the language that's in the bill. So he invited us to mark it up. We did. We've submitted that to him, and if it gets moving, then we will continue to covet your authority to regulate short-term rentals. I'll tell you that the biggest pushback that I give to Airbnb, who is pushing this, is the fact that Airbnb is not complying with current law. Thank y'all for
Yeah.
helping inform me about this and keeping me informed. Current law, a law was passed in 2021 that requires anybody who submits state accommodations taxes on behalf of more than one or multiple locations have to report the address and the gross amount and the tax that they submitted. Airbnb is not complying with that law. They say that that is a violation of their users' Fourth
Proprietary
Amendment
information.
rights against illegal search and seizure. They have a federal district court ruling from New York that they think is applicable throughout the entire country, but it's not applicable in the Fourth Circuit where we are. We are not interested in negotiating on much of anything with them until and unless they start complying with current law. I mean, I think that should be that's a reasonable expectation of all businesses. So that's where we are.
And I appreciate it.
Listen to the podcast, read the Dome to Your Home that you get each week, and of course, you're free to call me anytime if you have questions about legislation.
One other thing, obviously we passed the tree ordinance. One of the reactions that we've heard from some is that, well, we'll just go to the state, get an approved plan for silviculture,
Yeah.
and clear cut the property, and yeah, we know it'll sit for 2 years, but that's our ability to bypass your tree ordinance. I don't know what teeth really, if they have the ability to do that, and I have some concerns that if that could be pursued, how do we?
To whom? Who did you say they're threatening to apply to?
Yeah, there's through a state agency, whether it's DNR or Department of Agriculture or something.
How does that bypass your local?
Well, they basically said, I know you have a tree ordinance, but state law trumps your local ordinance, and we could apply to the state and create basically a tree harvesting plan,
Okay.
and it'd be approved by the state. It would preempt your tree ordinance, and then we could clear cut the property and just sit on it for a while. Just want to
Okay.
throw that out there.
I'd like to see that in
And
writing.
I'll add some meat to that bone when I get to
Yeah,
it.
I'd like to see that idea in writing in some state regulation or state law somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank
Enjoy
you,
it.
thank you, appreciate
See
you
you on the
coming.
podcast.
Appreciate you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I thought that was good. Great job, guys. It's always like the biggest bulk of it right there, and the compromises and getting those out. So, is that
I think we've got, yeah.
set some tables?
Right, and we'll formalize that, and then have our local sign master update the signs behind y'all.
Gotcha. I just want to make sure that town and staff are kind of got the ideas and we're on the same page, and so.
And to be quite honest with you, I know we've identified the priorities, must do, should do, could do's, but I wouldn't think, we're going to consider all of those things as we move through the year.
Gotcha.
So just because they're not color-coded,
Yeah, it's
doesn't
not-
mean they're
okay,
not
yeah.
priorities. It
If
won't happen.
it didn't get a mark, it's just,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, it's still important.
Exactly. So,
Because I know neighborhood immersion didn't get anything, but an outcome of the potential quadrant meeting
Is
and
that,
interaction
yes.
could be, the
Exactly.
action item is more neighborhood immersion.
And some of those could be put together.
Right.
And the finishing the business corridor, I think sewer ties into that, and a lot of things tie into, so, I mean, yeah, a lot of them tie in, y'all, so, cool.
Sustainable infrastructure,
Yep.
all part of that.
All right, so, well, after that, and again, thank you all for doing, like I said, that's always the biggest part of the day, taking that up. Where are we at? Almost
Department updates.
11 o'clock. We're moving into department head updates. Up first, planning, building codes. Mr. Krebs.
Excuse me. I'll be right back.
No, do you mind putting your mic on
Oh, I'm sorry.
when it's time?
It's, oh, actually, put it on.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay. It's right there. Sean's gonna kill me. Let's hit the comprehensive plan first. Thank you.
Pretty smooth. Pretty smooth. Good, good.
And just to give everybody a heads up, so we're on the time frame. We're at 11, I think at 11:40, 11:45, we're gonna walk down and do the unveiling on the,
Yes.
on the speed limit side. So just kind of wherever we're at on that, just to kind of give everybody a judge, we might make it through 2 or 3 of these. I don't know how long it's gonna go, but just at 11:45, we will take a little break and come right back, so. Planning on going down there, being back here by 12:30, so.
Thanks.
We'll have a working lunch.
Yeah, and then we'll get our food and working lunch and keep powering through, yep.
All right, I will try to keep this brief and also synthesize some of the things that were talked about during the goal setting into what I have for you. So this is just a reminder, the comprehensive plan, you know, there are several chapters that lay out strategies, and then this chapter of the comprehensive plan puts together a playbook where it lays out, here's a goal we have or an action we'll be taking. Here is a checkbox for it initiated and completed, and any notes we have on it. So Brooke, if you could scroll down to, like, I think page 3, just so I can show an example. There, okay, so this is what it looks like. Just as an example, the one that is initiated and completed is that sea level rise overlay that I believe was looked at in 2020. And that was a joint effort with other municipalities in the county. It brought to council to consider. I'm not sure if the ordinance was ever actually considered or if council chose not to do readings of it. But just in general, Brooke, you can scroll through a couple other pages. Not that one, obviously, there we go. So it just gives you an idea of, okay, in 2021, we adopted this plan with all kinds of actions we can take and implement, and here's where we're at with them. So like for transportation here, you can see that, you know, develop a comprehensive corridor master plan for Rebo Road. That's obviously begun and is well on its way. Analyze how Port Royal can best leverage connections to the trail. Obviously, that's being worked on. One of them is revise zoning code to propose minimum street and trail connections. And so that kind of lumps into what we've been talking about with setting the goal to review and make recommendations to amend the zoning code. So that will be part of the work that we do there over this next year or so. I won't get into any more specifics. There's a few more pages, but y'all are welcome to take a look at that. It's in the folder for the retreat, and if there's anything you have questions on or wondering if it's something that the planning department can start on its own or that kind of thing, we can absolutely have those discussions. And then I will jump over, Brooke, to the, sorry, any questions on that? I think it's just something you might want to look at.
Yeah, that's great, thank you.
Okay. Brooke, could you jump over to the development, that chart? So this is basically a list of development permits that are either issued or ongoing in review right now. I know you all talked briefly about apartments, storage facilities. I actually don't have it on this table, but there is one storage facility that, that has been permitted over the last 6 months or so. And otherwise, the majority of this is apartments or townhomes, but there are some, what I would refer to as missing middle or more reasonable size and design homes. So basically what you're looking at with the colors is if it's green, that step is done in the process. If it's the hatch mark green, they're kind of halfway there in that process. Like they've received a certain approval there, but they haven't given us everything to get it completely done. And then yellow is where they are right now in the process. So a lot of these are kind of in the middle there where they're still working on design review or engineering review. I will highlight a couple that we're looking at. CMS Roofing is going to be building a facility behind CVS. They're getting closer, and that's another regional business, I suppose. They have a few areas in the state where they have locations. So that'll be retail and warehousing of contractor materials and let's see what else.
The one storage unit you mentioned, is that the one behind
That's
Hardee's?
Yes, that's the one behind Hardee's. Yeah, nothing new has come since that.
And so
one.
all these apartments, these are
Madison Low Country at the corner.
vested?
Yes.
These are,
Everything's vested except for Clearwater Bluff, which is townhomes that we're looking at on the Maryland property up on the water side of Johnny Morale. Actually, on both sides of Johnny Morale partially. So it extends from the north end of Port Royal Landing up to that neighborhood in the city north of Piggly Wiggly.
Oyster Cove, right?
Oyster Cove, correct, yes. Richmond Cottages, that's the property next to Dollar General. That one's unique. Currently, the concept has commercial, whether it be office, retail, or mixed use building on the Rebo frontage, and it extends down to Richmond, and they're looking at doing some smaller cottage courtyard type development, which is one of those types that we call missing middle. So that's good. Don't know what the use will be, long-term, short-term ownership, but that's the housing type itself lends itself to that missing middle. And then London Square, those house sizes are, those are small cottages. I think they fit really well with the types of housing that's traditionally been built in Port Royal, so that's exciting as well. And then obviously that VA clinic's being looked at on the Sea Island Apartments site, and we've done a little bit of conceptual review there, and we're waiting to hear back from them.
and just something to, on the storage unit front, because we talked about it and everything, but just to keep on your radar, I know that, and my concern with it is just that, nothing against storage units, I've used them before, but you hate just seeing them on that prime property,
Yeah,
like on the commercial. And I know the city of Beaufort they're going through code edits and things like that, and I know they're looking at putting into their code, they're gonna make it a distance thing, and so once they say, you can only have, one can't be within 5 miles, whatever they land on, my fear is that that's just gonna push them into Port Royal. They're gonna go,
Yeah.
well, we can't go in Beaufort, we're gonna go here,
So
so
we
just something to keep on the radar.
Yeah, we can look at it in two different capacities because the overlay district for the Gateway currently excludes storage facilities as a use on any of those properties.
Cool.
And then we can also look at it in the greater code review to see how it might function on the rest of the town.
Okay.
So
And so the ones that exist are basically,
they'll be grandfathered after this.
but they're
Ordinance
non-compliant, they,
Yeah. Any major update they want to do anyway, we wouldn't be allowed. So that's, any other questions on this chart?
Hopefully they're there until someone comes and makes them an offer on the,
Right.
Yeah.
on the land. I mean, that's the goal, hopefully.
Right. And with redevelopment and facade improvements on multiple properties along the corridor, that helps to get folks who are neighbors thinking about, okay, my property doesn't look as nice as my neighbors anymore, what do we need to do here? So,
particularly if a 80,000 VA clinic gets
Yep.
yeah.
constructed.
That's it for that. I'll jump to a couple other points I wanted to make for things coming up here. As far as the tree ordinance, I don't have like a detailed report for you right now. I can say anecdotally that although this chart looks like several things are still happening, most of them commenced before the tree ordinance was passed. I can reasonably say that there's been a significant slowdown for commercial and single-family development since the tree ordinance was passed. So I've been looking at some ordinance requirements that I think might be hindering both new commercial, new well-placed single-family development, whether it be infill or it be greenfield, but still mix into the fabric of the town as it exists now. And then established neighborhoods where they were subdivided 30 years ago, and there's some issues going on there. So I'm gonna work on putting together some recommendations, basically in two categories. One would be, you know, there's specific requirements that might be making it difficult for new commercial development to feasibly flesh out their development plans. You know, it could be how many trees are we forcing them to plant per inch that they remove? Should we be requiring them to pay for those removals and plant, or should it be one or the other? And should we be allowing mitigation credits where I'm cutting down 40 inches of cherry, but I am saving 30 inches of cherry, so I'm only paying for that 10-inch difference, that kind of thing. So I want to keep the spirit of the tree ordinance that you all passed or previous council passed, but pull back a few things and I'll give some more explanation of why of the certain requirements that I do pull out.
No, and I appreciate that, because at the last design review board meeting, I mean, that was a pretty glaring example, yeah.
And then that's where the other bucket that my recommendation for changes might fall into is just general issues that were missed.
Mm-hmm.
And that the main one there is existing single-family subdivisions. You know, they laid these lots out, they got approval for that lot to exist 20 years ago with a tree in the middle of it, because at the time that would have been easily developable still. So we just want to look at, you know, exemption from current fees. Can they plant elsewhere on the property after they develop the property in lieu of the fee? Those kinds of things. So that's what I'm hoping in the next few months to be able to present to Planning Commission. I think we should probably have some kind of work session before we present it as recommendations to Planning Commission.
And we're gonna talk about species also?
Yes, and we'll narrow all of that down.
Can we check on two, because, I mean, I was thinking about that gentleman and lady that came the last council meeting. They bought their property years ago, they're in an HOA, but their property is unbuildable. I mean, they can't build due to that tree ordinance because it's so high. I don't think that's the purpose of what we're trying to do, to stop somebody from building a house, a single-family dwelling in the middle of a complex. I think we need to look at some of those on a case-by-case basis. What do y'all think? I mean, that's a lot of money to build, for them to have to pay to build on a lot they had years ago with the intent of moving here to retire and build, and now there's a tree in the center, and there's no way to fit their house on that property without removing that tree. So we're gonna stop him from having that house or paying.
And that's kind of the process that's set up. It's case by case.
Right. Yeah.
It just so happened that the design review board, who we decided should be the reviewing body for this, said, sure, you can remove the tree, but you're gonna have to pay the mitigation costs.
Right.
And unfortunately, the mitigation costs equal, if not exceed, the value of the purchase of the lot.
I think it was double the lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the lot was a foreclosure lot, so it was very low price.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Because they got the lot for like 45, and then to cut down the tree was
But
like 70.
Yeah.
I don't think our intent is to keep people from building their home.
Right.
And that's a classic example of what I was discussing. You know, Pinckney Retreat was laid out 20 years ago.
Right.
In recognition of the tree ordinance at that particular time. Had this tree ordinance been in place during lot layout, it would have been significantly different.
Oh, that neighborhood
Right.
would look.
They'd
Look
have
completely
moved down to
Well,
a lot.
and specifically for Pinckney Retreat, but several other subdivisions,
Right.
we acknowledged the setbacks that were in place when they were established and those kinds of things. So it only makes sense to kind of mesh that all.
Yeah, thank you.
No, I think that's great. I mean, I still think, you know, the tree ordinance was a great move, good move,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things we came out strong, and you just keep looking at it, you know, and I like that we're just keeping our eye on it and, you know, keep crafting it,
Well,
make
like
it
we
better.
said, every 6 months we
Yeah,
would
just
review
keep
it,
looking
and it's
at it,
been
yeah.
6 months, and now it's time to look at it, and
Yeah, but I think it's probably, we should expedite and if we're gonna look at modifications of the ordinance.
right.
But in that particular case, I mean, the only appeal that they have is through circuit court. because that's the mechanism with the design review board. Now, if they file, it would go to court-directed mediation, which we've done in the past, which would then, allow staff to negotiate, but ultimately, y'all would have to determine how we would settle that case.
Let's see how quickly we can get some
Yeah.
recommendations.
Okay. Then the other specific update I wanted to give was just on code review. So I guess we got our direction to start doing that. Basically, the zoning code alone, I mean, there's 10 articles in the zoning code. Some of that is setting the groundwork for it in the very beginning. Some of it is definitions, although I am going to do a review of the definitions chapter and make sure it makes sense. But the goal is with establishing a planning commission that we can do, okay, say April, we do not just the regular planning commission meeting, but we do a work session where staff comes with recommendations on the first article of the zoning code. We also have asked that the planning commissioners come with, well-read on that section, and any other discussion or recommendations that they want to make to staff to look at. And so we kind of formalize what we want to do with any amendments to that section of the code. The following month, that article of the code, the recommendations for that go to Planning Commission regular meeting. At the same time that month, we're also having a separate one to start on Article 2's amendments discussion. So each month after the first one will be basically a work session to discuss amendments to the next section while we're also voting on a recommendation to council for the amendments of the one we reviewed the previous month, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds like, I was gonna ask you how this worked it out, so that's perfect.
Yeah, well, hopefully that'll work out. If we have to revise that game plan, we will, but.
So it's a 10-month process.
Yes, and I'll say a 12-month process
There you go,
just
yeah.
in case there's any disasters or,
Okay.
there are a few articles that are,
Intense.
yes.
Yeah.
So, the base zoning districts, the article that talks about fences and signs and landscaping and everything all in one, that is gonna take some time. So that might be broken down into a half of it, 1 month, a half of it the other. But the goal is that we're frequently this year coming to council with recommendations.
Do you intend to go article by article, like in the numeric order? Or have you identified like maybe a priority section that you want to address first?
I think it makes more sense to start with the base zoning districts, because you don't want to start with, again, like the definitions section, and then you've changed things in other sections and need to go back and change that. So there are certain ones, the general community design, the base zoning districts, and all the supplemental information on what you can do with building types and architecture and stuff. I think that all comes first, and then you expand out from there to change anything in enforcement or procedures or definitions, to clean all of that up, so.
Well, thank you for, I know it's a lot, but I think it's also exciting, I mean, as you get, like, Port World's teed up at a perfect time with this port development coming, it starts moving, and this really gives us an opportunity to take a code that's been in place for a long time. We've seen how it works. We've seen some holes, some shortcomings, and it really gives staff and the council and town the opportunity to really set the table for Port World going forward for the next generation. So, like I said, I know it's a lot of work, but it's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think, we're working on establishing the zoning code being searchable on the same format, the Municode format that the municipal code is right now. So we'll be able to incorporate these amendments into that through Municode as we go, rather than each amendment being its own little link on the zoning code page like it is now, which gets a little confusing. So, yep, we'll just general cleanup, any changes we think are necessary, and making it more user-friendly are all kind of in the same package.
Great.
So I guess I'll try to go over Arche's code enforcement stuff. Unless y'all have anything else on planning, okay.
Any questions for Noah?
I'll just do a quick update on codes. I mean, you don't even need to pull anything up, Brooke. I'm not going to point out any numbers or anything. It seems like over the last year, the majority of observations from codes has been violations of business license, signage, and working without a permit. So Arche has been staying on top of that pretty diligently. I think numbers have increased with business licenses to a demonstrable amount.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
How are those coming to her attention? Is that people calling on people, or is that her just going up to people and say, I mean,
I would.
Yes and yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, there's
people
complaints.
telling on each other, or
There's
is it her just
complaints.
walking up on
There-
job sites?
Right, I mean, there's complaints, but there is a breakdown in the spreadsheet, in the folder of how many are citizen complaints and
Okay.
how many are code enforcement observed
Gotcha, okay.
violations. So you can take a look at that. I would say probably out of those top three, the one that would get the most citizen complaints would be the working without a permit. I don't think citizens are calling to say, I don't think that sign complies with the code.
Okay.
And then, so that's kind of been the past year. Her goal that I discussed a little bit with her is focusing on property maintenance for the future, you know, especially properties that have some long-running issues, properties that we get calls about concerns for public safety because of the state of them, that kind of thing. It's an arduous task, so it's not just as simple as call the owner and say, clean this up. In a lot of circumstances, it takes documentation, establishing a relationship, trying to go about things in a civil way to make sure that those people don't feel like we're coming down on them and that we're really just trying to clean up the community in general. But I mean, just in general, she's been doing a great job of establishing relationships with people and resolving code violations in the town the right way.
And we've heard that also from the community as well.
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I mean,
Doing a
if you
great
look
job.
at that spreadsheet again, you'll see 95 code violation observations in a month, and the amount of citations written are very low because she figures out how to resolve violations with people in a way that humanizes them and doesn't make them feel like
That's
the town
great.
is attacking them.
She's very personable.
She's very personable, so just wanted to give, so she takes the time to teach people why we have to enforce it and what the rules are, and it goes a long way,
That's
so.
good. Yeah, you want the enforcement to kind of be the last, last option.
We prefer resolution.
Exactly.
Right,
Yep.
right. She's doing good.
And then building department, nothing major. We're still working with Safe Built, so that's going well for the time being. I don't think any updates past that or something that.
We're still looking for personnel.
Right, so, I mean, finding a full-time inspector that is employed by the town would be nice, but the folks we are working with right now, our inspector is here most days, has been great so far, so. That's it for me.
Okay. Anything for Noah?
Great job.
When we talk about ordinance or codes enforcement and those things, no, do we see any repeat offenders? Essentially, like kind of anything that's, where you can say, like, there's a heat map here, right? Like,
Yeah, I don't know about location. We have repeat offender contractors, as far as trying to get work done without coming to the town for permissions first.
Then they should be taken
Was
into.
it part-
now contractors that know better?
Most of the time. There are obviously some folks who are starting up and didn't know they needed to have a sticker on their truck or that they needed a permit for certain
That's right.
things. But there are certain people that are repeat. You need to go get a permit or your license is.
Working off the beg for forgiveness instead of ask for
Yeah.
permission concept?
Right.
Do we have any approach to that, or do we have any opinion on that? I mean, how would Noah's perfect world operate on that?
I mean, I think that there's having them cited and come to court about it is is helpful because that's time that they have to spend. But I think that the kicker for the contractors in specific is that they're not ending up paying a fine. They're being told, well, you can come in and resolve the issue with your permit, get the permit retroactively, and you don't need to pay us the fine. But we do have a double fee for those kinds of issues that we can implement anytime somebody works without a permit, then they pay double for it when they do come resolve.
And we also have them stop the work.
Yeah, and stopping work for a day is huge. I mean, if they've got a schedule for 2 weeks and they can't finish their job and they need to tell that person that customer, we have to come back later because we didn't have the proper paperwork, that goes a long way too, so.
Now, do we, or can we accredit that to anything that maybe we can help maybe facilitate the process? Or, again, I've never
Yeah.
applied for a business license with us, so I don't, or any kind of permit.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think we have a mailing list for contractors, or, I mean, we do, because with the license, business license renewals, we could look at some kind of informational, like, but that's, again, that's one of those, gets sent to the folks who already are licensed.
Yeah.
So,
And even educating the homeowner,
Yeah,
that you
that's
probably,
big.
you should have a licensed, properly permitted contractor on site, because, you go to sell the house and you had significant work done and
Can't
you
have
can't
that.
produce a permit or inspections, that's a problem.
and I think that ties in with one of the issues with the contractors not getting permits or things taking a long time to get permitted, is that a lot of people, depending on what the job is, will tell their customers, you gotta pay us a couple $100 more to run the permits. So those residents will say, I'll do it myself and save that money, and then things get muddled up in our process because we don't have the proper stuff with their application. So there, I think that's probably a good point, Van, is residents, homeowners need to know what they should be looking for with contractors, because then they can hold the person they hired accountable.
Got it. Thanks, Noah.
Yep.
Thanks, Ben.
All right. Everyone good?
Nope, good.
All right, thank you. Good job, Noah. All right. Fire department's up next. How's it going? How you doing?
Morning, everybody.
Thank you for being here. Yes, sir.
Thank you guys for having me. I'll wait till. PowerPoint. Everybody has the.
Thanks for it's got that cool
Yeah.
seal on it. It's got
Yeah.
the Woods Bridge and
Yep.
the tower on it. That's awesome.
Yep. Good deal.
All right, so as Mayor Kevin just mentioned, you should have a challenge coin in front of you. I wanted to note that one of our firefighters designed these.
Oh,
and He
cool.
made sure to put the boardwalk with the tower in there. So
Who did
How
that?
awesome.
I thought that was really cool. So,
The original one was to have Ross's face on it.
I put it out to the department on who wanted to design it, and that's kind of
Collector's
what
item.
agreed
Well,
upon.
that's
So
a very good job.
Thanks for that.
he did a really good job.
Thank you.
2023 was a very exciting year for us. We accomplished some firsts that I've seen in our department and that we've seen in the community. We hired a new fire training officer, which he has hit the ground running and done an exceptional job. With that, I've had the opportunity to work with Noah on kind of developing a small training center for Station 4 on 170. So we have some shipping containers out there. Work is being done by our firefighters and getting it ready to do some really good training that he's brought into our department and getting us better prepared. So when that is completed, I'd love to have you guys out there and take a look at it. We've promoted a medical training officer. And with that, I'm going to skip a bullet here. With our medical training officer, we became an ALS agency, Advanced Life Support. So our firefighters are dual certified as firefighters and paramedics, which is great for our community. We're able to provide advanced life support skills and interventions to our members who call 911 right away now. I wanted to share a few statistics with you guys. We have 6 medics currently right now, 3 testing, and 2 in class. So we're looking at 11, 12 paramedics here in our department very soon. 19% of the patients that we have gone on, and these stats are between September and January, 19% of the patients that have called 911 received an EKG. An EKG it's a picture of your heart. Before we became Advanced Life Support, we weren't able to provide that service. We provided 26 different Advanced Life Support medications between September and January. Our response time for 2023 was 4 minutes and 19 seconds, so it just goes to show you that our fire stations are strategically located for the future. 4,906 calls for service in 2023, and 92% of our patients are being treated and assessed with the LifePak monitors for more accurate treatment and diagnosis. So we now have a LifePak monitor on each of our apparatus that we were able to receive through grants, and I think it's important to note that we were able to improve to our medical capabilities to an advanced life support agency through grant funding. 100% grant funding, not costing taxpayers anything, to be able to provide this greater service to them. So we're pretty proud of that. We held 2 youth CPR classes. That's one of our initiatives for 2024 as well. It is to hit the younger market, hit the high school age, hit the middle school age. The high school age is always very hard because you guys remember, you may have teenagers, high school students yourself. You know, middle school, elementary school, those kids are into the fire trucks. They love it. But you know, when you get into high school, you're too cool for that now. We're really working hard with that. Doing joint training with Beaufort County EMS, so our paramedics for Beaufort County EMS and our paramedics for our department can be on the same page and be able to provide that greater level of care. Quick response vehicle. These are an F-150 to be able to get places quicker and easier. Our paramedics will be on there with the firefighters will also be on the fire truck. They'll be housed right here at Station 3 in Port Royal, so we're excited about that. You can see in the end of the year report, Port Royal is one of the busier engines now. Where 10 years ago that wasn't the case, and 20 years ago it wasn't even a staff fire station. So it just goes to show you the improvements that we've made so quickly over the years. We've secured funding in the purchase for the new ladder truck to replace at Station 2. That one will go into reserve for when the front line goes out for maintenance. So, looking at and working on a remodel of our headquarters station and a co-location with an ambulance in it. The city of Beaufort and the town of Port Royal, we're the only fire stations without at least one ambulance in our fire stations. So that's something with our increased call volume that we've made it clear that's what we want. So working with the county on that to be able to make that happen in the future. Develop more summer youth programs. I talked about the youth CPR class. We're going to continue that, but a new one that we are kicking off this year, which we're really excited about and have big plans for, is a girls empowerment fire boot camp. We're calling it Sparking Embers. We're very proud of the females that we have in our department, and they're kind of taking it and running with it. And we have a good program ready for June for that class. It will be our first time ever, so we'll learn a lot, be able to make adjustments, and hopefully make improvements for 2025. Applications are currently going on. So if you know anybody that is interested, pass them off to me. Let them know that we're accepting applications. It can be found on our website. We're always putting stuff out on social media about the program. So
You do a real good job with social media.
thank you.
You seen any interest?
We have.
Good,
We get a
good.
few phone calls. One thing that we're doing is we want the schools and the Beaufort County School District to be engaged with it and jump on board. So we're requiring a recommendation letter from the students' teachers. So we all know what that's like. That stuff takes a little bit of time. We've limited the class to 12 students for our first year. So we're excited. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. How about the CPR? Y'all gonna do it this summer too?
We are. We've noticed the summertime's a little bit easier on families. The kids are out of school, and 25 students filled up like that.
Yeah, so
And,
you do it at headquarters? or-
Station 2 in the training room,
Okay,
1120 Rebault Road.
okay.
One thing to note too, we make it free. We feel it's that important, so we take on the cost of that to be able to provide that to our youth. So
That's a great opportunity, especially
is.
kids at this day to be able to know how to do CPR. I mean, it's so important.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Build the closest unit response program for north of the Broad. Mary Beth, you mentioned it. Continue joint meetings, coordination with Beaufort. What Beaufort and Port Royal has going on is the model of the fire service. I know we've said that and we've heard it a million times. Scott stood up here and talked about Woodruff. I believe that's Spartanburg County.
Yeah.
Spartanburg County has 39 different fire departments. And what we have going on is the greatest benefit for our citizens. It really is. And we're proud of that. And we want to thank you guys for continuing that partnership with the city and letting us be a part of it. So
It's working.
it is. It is.
Keep it working.
And we want to build that throughout north of the Broad and be able to provide that with the other fire departments, to provide the greatest good for our community. So
That'd be great.
It would be great also. I witnessed something last week, and it was unfortunate, but right where your fire station is on Robert Smalls, had an emergency in the back door, which you could have responded right there had we had that partnership. But it took them forever to come from across from picket fences to get there, and they found they got stuck. The ambulance got bogged down, and still couldn't get to them.
And y'all could have been there in 2 seconds.
And we understand that happens. That's what we want to work on. So when it's your mom and dad or your family,
Right, and I happened
the
to be there
closest
during
truck
that
will be
time
there.
also, and I looked out at my parents. I said, "You've got a fire truck and an ambulance in your yard."
Yeah.
And I went outside, and they were trying to get behind you.
Yeah.
But one thing I think is pretty neat is the fire and the police, I'm sorry, the way they work together, and especially around the holidays, when we have our visitor from the North Pole come down, and we look to the police and we look to the fire to help us with that.
Yeah.
And it's just a special time in the community. It just, I think, is a good community service, community outreach, that when we partner together to do that, the lives we change and the people that we impact. It's not just the kids. Oftentimes, it's the adults also. I think we saw that. We've seen that. But
Well,
thank y'all for.
Jerry, you'll see it on the March 13th agenda. An awesome thing that fire and police were able to pull off together about saving a life in Port Royal. And we're going to present in front of council an award to the firefighters and the police officers together. That they saved this gentleman's life who was 21 years old. And without them being there, without them working together, I don't think he would have made it. So we're excited about that.
Awesome.
To be able to do
Well, I
that.
think what y'all have with the police and the fire and the council and the rest of this town is that we all care and we're all a part of it and we'll do what we need to do to make sure it happens. Y'all done such a great job, and I can't tell you from the day I got on council how much things have changed and how proud I am that I was a part of the joining the departments, and we went from a class 4 rating or class 5 down to a 1. That's major.
We made sure to put that on there.
I saw that.
I think it's less than 300 fire departments in the
Yeah,
country.
and you
How many?
just don't see the
Less than 300.
cooperation and the fellowship that we have. You know, it's not an employee, it's a part of our community. We all have opened our hearts and our homes to y'all, and, you know, the police and fire, so thank you for what all of y'all do. I
Thank
don't
you.
think we thank y'all enough, but.
Jerry, don't quote me on that, but I'm gonna look that up. But
No,
it's
I think
very
that's-
few,
That's great,
less
man.
than 1%, I would say.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, that helps our insurance rate too, buddy.
It does,
Yeah.
And you know that's huge for businesses. We're
It drops
talking about
business and
growth.
homeowners. Homeowners too.
Are you anticipating a review again anytime soon?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Maybe they're watching right now. But yes, we're prepared for it, and we've been working on it for last year.
I have all the confidence.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
And to let you know, if there's anything like with the programs that we can help promote, let us know. And also, again, for the police department too, if there's ever anybody that you feel needs some recognition, public recognition, let us know. We'll
Awesome.
get that on the agenda and bring them in. And if anybody needs to, if there's something that, like I said, somebody that needs to get that boy,
Yeah,
bring them in. And
definitely.
let's do that. So.
Definitely. One last thing I have, you guys will probably in the next 2 weeks or so stop by Port Royal Station 3 and check out. We got a kitchen remodel going on.
Oh,
So I took a before and after from Van. When was that station built? You remember?
Oh,
yeah.
God.
And it got run into as well.
So
Yeah.
like I said, that went from an unmanned fire station to
Yeah.
now 5
Full.
firefighters living in there.
That's great.
So
Good
we
change,
that's something we're working on every year, is kind of doing a little rehab on our stations and getting some work done. So it's turning out beautiful. It'll look a lot different, I promise you guys. So come check it out.
Who's cooking, Massey?
Thank you, Ross.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Van, what are you thinking on time? Should we walk down this thing? Can we hit Public Works?
I think we can probably knock out Public Works and then,
Okay.
because we want to leave leave here at 11:45, so 15 minutes for Public Works, then we can roll.
Okay.
Where are we gonna do it first? Police station? There, or we gonna do it?
The speed limit sign. Hey.
And as far as, the Santa visits, and you talked about the adults impacted, because there are probably a lot more adults on the naughty list than there are children, so.
Yeah. This group included.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ross.
Y'all do a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm representing Public Works today. Here to answer any questions you may have or any updates y'all would like.
And just by this a little bit of background, Kayla has done a fantastic job of really getting that department organized and more systematic and more processes in place so that we can be significantly more responsive as bulk pickup, scheduling, procurement, you name it. She was very instrumental in the whole motorcycle.
Yes, the IGSA that we have at the air station.
Right.
How's the new bulk pickup system
Jeff
working
has
out?
been loving the system.
Good.
So we have a editable Excel spreadsheet that we all have access to within the office. I'm the primary contact, but if Lisa were to get a call, she can go in and add the address. That then gets sent close of business the day before it's to be picked up, which creates a great system. So if we do get a call from a resident, hey, my items weren't picked up, we can go back and see if they were on the list. And if they were, sometimes it's a simple mistake. They passed over it, and I called Jeff, and they get it that same day. So we have excellent communication between departments, especially me and Jeff. I talk to him 4 or 5 times a day. What can I do for him? What can he do for me or the town? It's been an excellent communication now.
So are we seeing less complaints due to the new way?
I've not been
I
getting.
would think.
That's a good thing.
Well, I haven't had really any complaints recently.
I haven't seen piles as I
haven't
ride
either.
around town.
That's why I was asking. I haven't seen it either.
And the drivers, as they're going around now too, they're informing Kayla of areas, they're just not picking it up, so that way we have Drew, who's our litter patrol, he'll know and he educates them. This is who you need to call, here's the schedule, here's what the map, this is the day you're picked up, all that kind of stuff. Once again, it's back to educating.
That's right. And
Communication.
the quality in which they remove the debris is pretty impressive.
It's amazing.
Pride
They
in what
have
they do.
rakes.
They
They're
get it all.
taking their time to get it up, make sure it looks good
Yeah.
when they leave.
It's better than they found it, that's for sure.
Yes.
I witnessed it, I'm like, wow,
Yes.
that's good.
Y'all are doing a good job. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I wish we had a before and after picture, or maybe we do, of the Public Works yard. She's been very instrumental
I
in
believe
getting
I
rid
have
of a lot of
of
it.
pictures.
Oh, wow.
How's the rubber witch doing?
Yeah.
I walked by the other day and that big dog came up from the best.
That's Roscoe.
Yes.
He's our feisty one. The other one,
Roscoe.
Look at this baby right here.
That's a good name for a junkyard dog. Yeah.
For those of you who have never seen Roscoe, he looks like a child drew a dog. That's what Roscoe looks like.
Exactly.
yeah, he's
Comes out of
great.
nowhere right by that fence.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
All right, well, Caleb, we're here for you, so, I mean,
Thank you for
anything y'all need, you just let us know, okay?
Oh, that'll be coming up in a few months.
Gotcha, absolutely, so.
How's our staffing? What are our numbers and where we at? What do we need?
That's a bit of a challenge. We're working on it.
Still.
Yes, it's a work in progress.
How many do we have?
Including Jeff, we have 6. 1 part-time, 4 full-time, and Jeff.
How many
Well, let me-
vacancies we have?
Jeff.
What do you feel like we need to be?
I'd rather not talk about
Right
that
now.
specific details of
Gotcha.
what we're doing internally there. I'll just say that we've got some challenges.
Gotcha.
All right, anything for Ms. Caleb?
Nope. Thanks for the update.
Well, thank you so much. Look
You're
forward to
very
the budget
welcome.
workshop.
Thank you.
We'll see you at the, Winnie time. All right, so now we want to. Okay. Who's doing judicial?
Yeah, we ordered. We already ordered them
The internal cab drive thing?
with the arm
Okay,
outside.
this-
You do it from the
Grimsley was
inside.
popping
You
in.
fall back on the arm and get caught in the machine.
Yep, so everyone, we're going to take a quick, maybe an hour break, step out. We're going to go over on Paris Avenue and do our unveiling of the 22 mile an hour speed signs, if you're watching this and you're around, please come out, and then we're gonna come back, grab our lunch, have a working lunch, and power through the rest of this agenda. So we'll be back in about an hour, okay? Thank y'all.